of time.
O'clock.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Wednesday once again, and this should probably be a pretty entertaining show. So the thing about it, I think it was Zach that recommended we do a show about lost media, right? And I actually really like, because, you know, Wang does a lot of lost media kind of stuff, although he tends to stick to more of the TV, video game, movie kind of stuff. Not so much the darker stuff. I kind of wanted a combo of both of those things, because honestly, I was on the Reddit, like, Lost Media, the subreddit, and a lot of the newer posts that I saw are kind of like people looking for really obscure movies or, you know, lost episodes of TV shows or something like that, which is interesting, but I don't know, it's not quite as interesting as some of the creepier shit.
Yeah, like, hey, we're looking for a lost episode of SpongeBob.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knows where it is. That's not, you know.
Which, like I said, there's really not much of a story there, unless there is a reason, like there's a creepy reason that, like, they don't show it anymore or something like that. Like, then it's interesting. Right. But if something was just kind of lost and there's not really a story behind it, like, that's not quite as cool. Although I will say that he made like 3 videos about the most mysterious song on the internet, which I've played on the show before. And they did finally identify that. It took like fucking years.
It's a German band called Fex.
Called FEX or Fex or something like that. Yeah. And so they finally got found, and I thought that was cool because I didn't know if they would ever figure that out.
Yeah, and the dudes are all still alive. They're all old.
Well, yeah,
they're all in their 60s.
Because it was from the 80s.
Yeah, and they're just like astounded that that's a famous song now. They're gonna do a tour and everything.
Yeah, that it's like it just randomly turned up on this cassette. Yeah. That somebody recorded off a radio show back in Germany in the 80s.
Yeah.
And, like, it was the only song that wasn't labeled.
Yeah.
So, like, for a long time, like, somebody was digitizing their cassettes, and they were like, what the fuck song is this? It's the only one that doesn't have a name on it.
Yeah.
And so then it just kind of started going around the internet, and, like, everybody got fascinated with this fucking song, and it took, like, it was like this whole mystery and investigation.
Yeah, they're doing fucking covers of it and everything. It's a good fucking post-punk, like, kind of like darkwave song. Kind of like something off Joy Division.
It's a cool song. I actually really
I knew it was German. I thought it was going to be East German, though.
Yeah.
I figured if it was West German, they would have been easily
they would have found it.
But no, the dudes just weren't really on the internet. You know, they're older guys and they're not really,
or at least not the parts of the internet that would be into this kind of shit.
Yeah, they were all still musicians. I think. I think they all still played.
Yeah.
I think one of them was a studio musician. I think.
Yeah.
But you know, just for memory serves. But they were doing a reunion tour and everything. And they're cutting a new edit of that song. If recorded better and everything.
That happened too. There was another one where somebody found this CD like in a thrift store or charity shop, I guess, because it was in the UK, and it was a band called Panchinko.
Yeah, Panchinko.
Something Panchinko.
Panchinko, yeah.
And the album was called Death Metal, even though the music was kind of shoegazery. And this guy's like, I just saw this in a thrift shop, and I thought the cover looked interesting, and it's
had
like
an anime chick on it,
and it had like an anime chick on the cover.
Yeah.
And the sound quality was terrible because the CD had kind of degraded. But he put some of it up, and so then there was like a huge thing. But they did actually find that band.
Eventually figure out who it was.
As well, and that band actually remastered the CD and everything like that. And I think they even put all their other stuff out.
I think they were in high school when they made the album, weren't they? Or just out of high school?
Yeah, they were pretty young. Yeah.
And it was the only thing they did. If I remember correctly.
It was kind of interesting how they found it too, because they're like, well, the charity shop was in, like, according to the barcode, it was at an Oxfam in the UK, and the barcode, somebody figured out what city it was in, and so then they started searching, and the thing about it was that the CD had only had the first names of the band members, but one of the band members' name was Owain, which is a pretty unusual name, I guess. And so these people started looking for people named Owain in that city. Like, maybe he still lives there, you know what I mean? if this band didn't get that big and like his CD ended up at this thrift store. And indeed, that's how they tracked him down. Like, just from the barcode on the fucking price on the CD from the Oxfam store, like the city where it was.
Yeah, and I think there were only a couple. They bought like only a couple copies of that CD, and they were all lost. I think they just gave some of them away, sold some of them. Didn't
Yeah, I think there was like they made it like as a demo or something.
It's like a demo. I think they only had like 20.
They
copies.
gave them to their friends and like to radio stations and stuff, but they never
Yeah.
really got all that big, so it's just like they forgot about
So
it.
it wasn't a full release album.
Right. So it's like, but I thought that was kind of cool though.
I think they said they had 20.
Yeah, I think they said there were 20 copies of it.
Yeah.
But how weird, like, to come across. But I like stories like that. Like, that's kind of, even though there's nothing creepy about that. But so, I don't know. So what I did with this one, like I said, I've been super, super busy this week, so I didn't, like, have a huge, huge amount of time to, like, go super deep dive on anything. But on Sunday, like, after the poll closed, I went and just did a very broad, it's just like, creepy lost media stories, like all this other kind of stuff. And then I just read through all these different rabbit holes, and then I just picked out a bunch of stuff that I thought was interesting. And then, like, I started with, I was just going to do, like, some brief mentions of kind of more fun stuff. Like I said, not like SpongeBob, but kind of like that, you know what I mean? Just that I thought I would mention. And then, like, the more in-depth stuff, I wanted to do, like, the more creepy stuff, like death videos and that kind of shit. So, because you know how I do. We're not all into... But like I said, if you like kind of more stuff where, like mysterious songs or mysterious TV episodes or lost video games or whatever, like Wang does a bunch of stuff about that. Like, not necessarily creepy, but a lot of times they're really interesting, and he does like a really deep dive on it. So I didn't want to cover too much of the same shit that he did, you know what I mean? But I did think I would bring up that mysterious song on the internet thing, because I think we mentioned when it got solved, because it only recently got solved.
Yeah.
Like, they only recently figured out who that was. Tammy says, I'm still looking for my lost dildo that I used to peg Tom.
Yeah! Damn! Oh, that bitch.
Right.
That bitch collects right now. I remember it, because I autographed that shit. I remember I autographed it. You fucking lost out. You lost a lot of money on that one. See, they got girls fucking fantasizing about dildos that I got pegged with. What kind of weird shit is that? That was a good one. That was Tammy?
Yeah.
Of course it was fucking Tammy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Mango says they're still looking for London After Midnight. Yeah,
I was gonna mention that.
Yeah,
That's probably.
movie.
Well, here's the thing, and because I really like silent movies, and for a while I was reviewing them, like I was doing long watch-alongs on my not a watch-along, but I would write down like what was going on and make jokes about it on my blog like a long time ago. So I actually really like silent movies, but I was reading something the other day that it's estimated. I think I read that like 75% of like all the silent movies ever made are lost, are gone. And a lot of that is because, one, silver nitrate stock, which is super, super flammable. Like, the stock just degrades. And, there's studio fires, they're stored improperly, something like that, and they just fall apart, and they don't have any other copies of them. And the thing about it, too, I think up until really the 70s, nobody really thought, because you couldn't sell home video, nobody really thought to save anything. So especially stuff that wasn't, like newscasts or game shows or something like that, like from the 50s and 60s, not much of that got saved because, all of that was tape, and like they saved tape by taping over it. They would just reuse shit. Or, like I said, they didn't store, because it, costs money and takes space, like, to store stuff. Yeah. And it's like, they're like, well, they didn't think they'd ever be able to sell it. Nobody's going to watch it again. They're not going to rerun it, so why keep it?
Yeah, like, basically nothing survives of Elvira's show. Not Elvira, excuse me, Vampira.
Vampira, yeah.
Yeah, a few seconds. That's about it.
Which is crazy to think about, because, like, and even nowadays, you think, oh, everything's preserved because everybody's recording shit at all times and the internet and everything like that, but not so, because honestly, websites get taken down, especially like smaller ones, get taken down all the time. If any videos or photos or anything that were posted on that weren't archived, then they're lost if the original person doesn't put them back up again. So it happens all the time. Like, not everything is preserved. like, yeah, you know, Wayback Machine and stuff like that. Like, that does archive a lot of sites, but not all of them. And even if it archives some sites, it's just partial, you know? So sometimes, like, stuff is not there. And, like, when I was on the subreddit today, some people are looking for shit that was, like, as recent as, like, 2010, you know, and the shit's gone.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean?
What was it from 2010?
I don't even remember. Was it a movie? I don't remember if it was a movie or something. Because, well, and I think the thing about it, too, is that so many people make shit nowadays, too, because it's so much cheaper and easier, that it's like, if you made a short film, for example, like 12 years ago, and put it up on your YouTube channel, and, you know, and it was up for a few years, and it got a bunch of views, and blah, 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 and somebody remembered it and really liked it, but then, like, you took it down later, and then, like, I don't know, you lost all your shit, or your computer broke, or your house burned down, or something like that, and you didn't have it anymore, then it's gone. And that was only like a few years ago. And unless somebody saved it, like unless somebody downloaded it from YouTube and kept it, like it's gone forever. You know what I mean? So stuff's a lot more fleeting, I guess. And the thing about it is that, like, silent movies, you know, like I said, anything on TV, like pre-70s probably, not really preserved. Like, people weren't really thinking about it, you know?
Yeah, television was a disposable medium.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't like they were going to rerun shit. Like, especially something that was just kind of like, yeah, Camp Guy said only Johnny Carson got lost too. Yeah, it's anything like that was like a live, like a talk show or game shows or anything like that. They don't really...
Most of Johnny Carson's
They didn't
gone?
really save them. Yeah, I was reading that. Manga says the film Near Dark was classed as a lost film at one point. Was it really? I didn't know that. Huh. Wonder how that could have been. I don't know. I guess things like fucking disappear, but... Zach says, supposedly the institution once known as 4chan is down for good as of a few weeks ago. Yeah, I heard about that.
Somebody cracked into it and shut it down. somebody hacked into the fucking the password.
And nothing of value was
closed
lost.
it. Yeah. There was a lot of funny shit on there, a lot of photographs, a lot of cool videos.
High Desert said, I remember my dad had some computer manuals that were published in the 70s. They had R. Crumb style covers. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, Hugo said a lot of George Méliès's movies are lost. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, a lot of his most famous ones, I guess, were preserved. But, I mean, that was late 19th century. Like, some of his movies came out, like, in 1896, you know what I mean? So, I've seen several of them.
What's that?
George Méliès's movies. He made, like, A Trip to the Moon and...
Yeah.
All those kind of like...
The French guy.
Yeah, like the real famous ones.
Yeah.
Because he made like a fuck ton of movies. But most of his movies were like short. You know what I mean? Were like, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. Maybe not even that long. I've actually reviewed a couple of his. I did, what's that one called? I think it was just called The Haunted Mansion or... No. Or I don't remember what it was called. But I did a couple of his short ones. You know what
Pretty
I mean?
much. 2 or 3 movies worth of the Phantom of the Opera are gone because they slowly replaced it scene by scene as they started to updated that movie in the years that they played it, you know, way back then in the silent film era. And then they turned it into a talkie, and every time they changed something, it still had Lon Chaney in it, but they kept reshooting it, and they don't know what happened to all the shit they threw away.
Yeah, like I said, they didn't really save it.
In the final version of it, there's some scenes in there that don't make any sense. Like there's somebody in a cave. You can see that he's talking, but there's no words. And it was because back in the silent film era, somebody would sit there and fucking read out a script while that guy was talking to make it sound like he was, you know, talking. But they don't have him anymore. They just have they don't have the words anymore. They just have the guy in the cave. They don't know what that is.
There's like
it's a narration of some sort.
Right, okay.
But they put it in the movie. It's evidently like there may be 2 or 3 edits of the Phantom of the Opera too. I don't know. I have to go back and look at what they said, but there's no definitive version of it. And every version is fucked up. There's shit wrong with it. Yeah.
I watched if you guys didn't know, Thomas Edison made a version of Frankenstein back in, I think it was 1910. And I did like a long watch along of it. I don't know if any pieces of it are missing. It is batshit crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
I
make
did.
sense?
Well, no, it kind of makes sense. Like if you sort of know what the story is. I really liked the way that the Frankenstein monster was brought to life. I think during my blog post, I was making jokes about like cooking him up in a chili pot because he was basically put him in like a big oven thing, and there was like a big pot in there, and he like cooked him like he came out of a pot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
That's crazy.
he poured like a bunch of like chemicals and shit in there. He didn't have like a dead body with like lightning or anything. It was a cool effect for 1910.
Yeah.
Like because he was like coming out of the pot and like forming, and I was like, wow, how'd they fucking do that? Like in 1910, it looked pretty cool. But
Okay,
yeah,
so he didn't start off as a corpse. There was something that just
not that I remember.
Just cooked up a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
in the
he
pot
just
and he came out. All right.
It's like-
like a homunculus.
Yeah, I think he was going more along the line of like a homunculus. But yeah, I was having a good time like talking about like the sentient chili monster and all this other kind of stuff because it looked like he was just coming out of a big chili pot. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys knew, but Thomas Edison made Frankenstein. Hey Klaus, what's going on? What are we talking about tonight? It's night here in Norway. I mean, it's night here too, but it's only 7:45. We're talking about lost media.
Lost media.
So we're gonna cover all kind of crazy shit in here. Camp Guy said I can remember downloading single image porn over an analog modem. Yeah, I think most of us can remember that.
Yeah.
Remember how
And she would
long?
come down.
Yeah, like one line at a time. You're like, I'm gonna go make a sandwich and take a shower and stuff like that. Like
Most of it
just
was
to wait
shit that
for
was
it.
ripped from magazines.
Yeah. And it's just like scanned.
Scanned, yeah.
It's just so funny that it's like it was in our lifetimes that
Yeah.
it took so fucking long.
Yeah.
Holy
And
shit.
you thought it was a big deal if you could get like fucking 10 seconds of fucking video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that looked just like video.
Yeah, I mean. All right, let's see. Klaus says, I've heard about Johnny Carson, but I'm Norwegian. Don't know much other than he was a talk show host.
Basically,
Yeah.
in Hollywood, that dude.
He was a very famous talk show host. He was kind of a tastemaker, I want to say.
He was the man.
Like if you got asked to be on the Johnny Carson show, you knew that you had like made it. That's how you knew you were famous.
Well, kinda.
Kinda.
You were noteworthy
Yeah.
if you got invited to the on
But
the
then
Carson show.
afterward,
And if he invited you over to the couch, like if you were there, let's say you were a musician, or if you were
Like
a
a
magician or
a
a
comedian.
comedian, and if Carson was laughing his ass off and he called you over to the couch and to sit in the table next to him for the next act that would come up, you made it.
yeah.
You made it. You were going to be famous. People would actually watch that shit. In Hollywood, would watch it. Oh, he got invited to the couch? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that
And
guy's
we
going
had to
places.
get him a movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll put
like
him
I
in a
said.
movie.
So he was kind of a tastemaker.
Yeah,
Johnny Carson was.
Johnny was the man. He was like a original Hollywood gangster. Fucking, if he liked you, you were going to go far. If he didn't like you, he'd end your career. He could fuck you. He had a lot of pull.
Yeah.
And so did Ed McMahon, who all he did was just laugh. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Yeah, he was like
his job was just to
the
laugh.
sidekick.
Oh, ho, ho. That's right.
He's doing all kind of shit behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, they did behind the scenes shit.
Well, Tonight Show, after Johnny Carson retired, was there another host in between Jay Leno, or did Jay Leno come right on after that? Now I can't
I think
remember.
it went right to Jay Leno.
I think it went right to Jay Leno.
Yeah, he was pretty good. I like Jay Leno. He was alright.
Yeah, he was pretty funny. Like, I don't know. Johnny Carson, I don't know if I'd call him funny, but he had, like, kind of a dry sense of humor, which I kind of liked.
I grew up with him. He was just a.
Yeah. Me and my grandma used to watch it
He
at
was
night.
he would come on late night. It was the
After the news. It was
after
like
the news, he'd come
11:30.
and that was the winding down time. America would wind down, and he would Johnny Carson would relax you. That's what it felt like. And it felt like, okay, the day is done, and it is all fucking good.
And Johnny Carson is on.
And yeah, and Johnny Carson's on. It's like you're shutting it down.
Because back then, when Johnny Carson was on, TV went off.
Went off. It played
After
the
that,
national anthem, and then that was
played the national anthem, and then it went to white noise.
Yep.
Like, and then after, I think in the 80s or 90s, they started playing infomercials all night.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a new thing. But, yeah, 24/7 programming, I remember that coming in. You know what I mean? Because I remember when there was nothing on TV, like, after midnight or 12:30 or whatever it was. Like, it was just static. Which is crazy to think about now, because now you can just watch whatever,
What was
whenever.
different about it is today everything's politically charged. In those days, it wasn't. Everything. Johnny Carson's show was very neutral. It was very much, you're just an American, and we're shutting it down tonight. We're gonna show some cool shit, and then tomorrow you're gonna go back to work. That was the vibe that you got off the Carson show. They weren't trying to divide anybody or get you to believe in anything. It was just pure entertainment.
Well, they weren't trying to make you mad.
Weren't trying to make you mad.
I kind of feel like there's a huge segment of entertainment now is the
Now
whole
they're trying
thing
to
is
make you
like
mad.
just trying to make you mad.
Yeah.
Which I'm not interested in,
make you
really.
mad and divide people and make mad,
Like I
and
said,
they make money off of that.
I'm anxious about other shit already. I don't really need more mad on top of it.
Carson was very soothing and comforting and funny.
Yeah, because he was like, you were going to go to bed after this.
Yeah.
Most people would be in bed watching Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Like, you'd watch that and then you'd
And it
go
might
to
be
sleep.
something wild. They might have a fucking parapsychologist on as a guest. They talk about paranormal.
Yeah.
That might happen.
Yeah, you had all kind of
Anything can happen.
people.
Or somebody come on with a bunch of animals.
Yeah, I used to like those, actually.
Animals that crawl up on top of fucking Carson and shit. And
when somebody brought all
monkey
the
on his
animals.
head and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, American Military said, I remember when there was only 4 channels, including PBS. Me too.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a little kid, when they first did, we had 4 channels, ABC, NBC, CBS, and then you had PBS, which was channel 24, where I was. And then they brought in Fox 35. And when that first, like, everybody's like, 5 channels? What the fuck? Now, what do they think of next?
Yeah.
But the only thing that channel showed at first was like reruns of the Jeffersons and Sanford and Son and like that, and like old Southern movies and shit like that.
Bonanza.
Yeah, like shit like that. I kind of feel like it was mostly 70s sitcoms is what they mostly played. Maybe Mama's Family.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, maybe they played Twilight Zone because that's like all the cheap programming they had. But then, like, eventually they started getting more stuff. But I thought that was so funny. And, like, because my dad worked for Cablevision in the early 80s. And the first time we got one of those cable boxes, and it was a literal box. It was just, like, a box that had a slider thing on it. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like, with the light on the front.
Analog, yeah.
And it was, like, this analog.
Yeah.
And I think at first, we had 40-something channels, and we just could not believe it.
Yeah.
But even though, I mean, the novelty wore off pretty quick, so they're like, there isn't fuck all on any of these channels that I want to watch.
One channel would have been a local weather radar.
Yeah, there was that.
Then there's infomercials, a weather channel.
There's like a bunch of Christian broadcasting channels.
Yeah, fucking.
Like a sports channel.
Christian movies, yeah.
We had MTV. Yeah. We had the like pay movie channels. We had like HBO and Cinemax and Showtime and stuff because like it's he worked for them, so we got it all for free because it wasn't cheap back then. But Elizabeth said I got to go to a taping of Jay Leno a while back in 2012. It was fun. Yeah, I've never been in any of those. Camp Guy said Conan O'Brien had the best bands on late night TV. Yeah, I heard that he had some good. I never really. I would watch if I knew that like somebody a band I liked was going to be on, but that didn't usually happen.
I actually like David Letterman.
Yeah, I like David Letterman.
Yeah. It was,
like out of all the
edgier and funnier.
Out of all the ones I watched, watched that one the most.
Yeah.
Like, as I kind of felt like Jay Leno was like a little more for older people.
That was kind of the old.
That was kind of like the old people one.
I mean, it was good. It was just, it was more formal.
Yeah.
Kind of. It was that was kind of old boomer America.
Yeah.
Fucking Letterman was more like the beginnings of X Generation. It was a little more wild. You never knew what was going to happen. It's crazy skits and shit. Although he started in the 70s.
I think so, yeah.
I remember him being in the 70s.
Yeah.
Late 70s. Might
Tammy
have been 1980.
Yeah, how did I loved 80s early David Letterman. Yeah, I used to like that too. Tammy said, yeah, it was a big deal when Fox came out as a new channel. Yeah, I remember that. Like, everyone was, like, super excited. Even though, like I said, it was just reruns. There wasn't anything. Oh, and I think they played, like, Tom and Jerry cartoons and shit like that.
Yeah.
And so I
They ended
remember
up
that.
doing Married with Children, I think, didn't they?
Much later,
And
yeah.
then they had
And
their
Simpsons
own
and
Simpsons
and all that.
Yeah, they had
So
their own
yeah,
programming.
they got
eventually.
their own programming eventually. But in the early days, it was all I remember was Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, and Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Yeah.
That was pretty much all
Married,
it was
Married
on
with
there.
Children came out. That was just a wild program, and they had that fucking hottie on there,
Christina Applegate.
Man, fucking dudes were going crazy over her.
That was
She
like,
was cute, man.
it's so funny now because, I mean, now like every show is just
Yeah.
swearing and
Yeah.
controversy and
That
everything
one was
like that.
wild, though.
But that one was like a big deal. It got like so much complaints and stuff like
Yeah.
that fucking show when it first came out because nobody had seen anything like that really.
Well, they
It
kind of
really-
had. It's just that they were saying, oh, well, it kind of shows the American family as being dysfunctional. Well, a lot of them did.
Yeah.
The Honeymooners was like that.
Yeah.
Fucking which goes
All in the
goes
Family.
way back. All in the Family. Yeah. So it wasn't really anything new. It was just a remake. It was a reboot
Yeah.
of old stuff.
CB said it came out after Carson died that he hated gay people and could be racist when he was drunk. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? But not surprising for
That was
that
just that time.
for
That's
that
what it was.
age, dude. I mean, that's pretty standard
Yeah.
for a
That
guy
wasn't
of that
anything
era.
unusual for that era.
I mean, it still
Yeah.
sucks, but I'm just saying
That's how they were.
That's how they were.
Yeah.
Maria says, I grew up in a rural area. We could hardly get anything until satellite. Yeah, that's like fucking... Hi, Heather said, I was one of the few kids who didn't have cable at home. My parents thought it was outrageous to have to pay for TV. Hey. Yeah. Well, like I said, we didn't have to pay for it for a long time because my dad worked for the cable company. So we had all the channels for free. It was pretty awesome. Like, we even got MTV when it first started, like in 1981. And I watched the shit out of that. That's what got me into New Wave and stuff back in the 80s. Because that's mostly what they showed.
That was the end of the South.
They showed like some kind of, you know, they had like some kind of boomery music still, like 70s like rock and stuff. But they didn't have a lot of programming there because not a lot of bands made videos.
Yeah.
Mostly the bands making videos were newer, like new wave bands. So that was mostly what they had. So that's what they played.
Yep.
You know?
It was MTV that actually changed the Southern culture forever. Like, I remember in the 80s when cable came out, early 80s, going to fucking see my dad in Mississippi. I stayed the whole summer there, and my cousins and my friends and shit. And I'd show up and they were all listening to the same shit what I was listening to in California.
Yeah.
They were listening to Duran Duran, fucking just Psychedelic Furs, Missing Persons.
Yeah, all the stuff they used to play
All
on
the
MTV
shit,
back in the day.
yeah, and then they were listening to
Adam Ant.
fucking Journey and fucking bullshit like that, and Iron Maiden, and it was in a place like Mississippi and Alabama. That was like another planet. That was the first time those people had actually kind of seen cultures outside the Southern culture. You know, they're like, oh, okay, there's good shit there too, and it changed everything. You know, fucking cable was kind of like the proto internet. That was the social media of the time.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what albums to even order if you didn't have MTV. So they were listening to like post punk and British new wave and, you know, heavy metal. You never would have heard that without cable.
Yeah.
Those kids would have never known what that was.
Yeah, it was a kind of a
Transformative.
democratizing.
Yeah.
Because you got access to stuff that you didn't have before.
You could go all over the United States and there's motherfucking kids listening to fucking Motley Crue. An LA band.
Yeah. Which, that's cool because it kind of sucks like being stuck out in the middle of nowhere and not knowing where all the cool shit is.
Yep.
You don't have any place to go. We don't have anybody to hang out with.
Yeah.
You know, because nobody likes the same shit as you like.
Well, it got cool in the South though. The teenagers made it cool.
Yeah.
Then they just went off to college, and then the cool left.
Yeah.
And then the next generation had to come up. And most of them didn't come back to Mississippi. They moved fucking to Florida or Tennessee, Texas. You don't want to stay in Mississippi or Alabama if you're young.
Nah, there's nothing to do.
Nothing
Nothing to do.
Get in trouble.
Nowhere to work.
Except the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian, Biloxi. Yeah, you could live there. There's shit to do. Party. You could party pretty hard there. I lived there. And then you can go down to New Orleans. But if you're in the fucking center part of Mississippi, fucking, there's nothing there. No club life.
Yeah, I would hate that.
Just honky tonks.
Yeah, I would hate that.
Yeah.
And I can't go to that kind of place.
No, I had to drive 2.5 hours to get to a club.
Yeah. See, I can't live that way. I'm sorry.
Got used to it.
I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. Well, no, I mean, I lived in Daytona, and it's like, we had clubs in Orlando, but I used to drive to the castle every weekend, and that was 2.5 hours.
See, I would drive to fucking Slidell. That's where my aunt lived, my cousins. And I'd crash there and then go to the clubs in the French Quarter. And then come back, slide down and crash. And I'd stay there the whole weekend.
Yeah.
But I was mostly gone during the night. Then I'd drive back.
Yeah.
But then eventually I just moved down there. Moved down to the coast.
Yeah.
After I met my first wife. But that was a long time ago, though. That was fucking 90s.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to go with mention a couple little things here that I thought were interesting. Now, this lost media was actually found. Here's the funny thing. I think somebody posted on Reddit years ago, because I think maybe Wang mentioned this, if I remember correctly, because I've seen little clips of this. But somebody posted something about a cartoon that they had seen back in the 70s or 80s. And they said this cartoon was like creepy as shit, but they weren't sure if it really existed or if they like dreamed it or something. And they said it was this really they said it was for sure animated. And they said what they mostly remembered was there was like a kid sleeping in a bed, and then there was a clock on the wall, and then like a man climbed out of the clock and kidnapped the kid, right?
This is a movie?
Yeah, and so this guy posted about it. He's like, what the fuck is this? Did I imagine this? Or, is it real or whatever? So there was like this whole, they just called it Clockman. And he said it's probably from Eastern Europe, like from the 70s or 80s. He wasn't entirely sure. And so it kind of went back and forth for years and years. But eventually somebody found it. It was real. Like for a long time, people thought, bro, you probably just dreamed it or you imagined it or something. But somebody found it. It is real. In 2017, someone identified it as a 1978 Czech film, whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. But I saw like pieces of it. I guess it was on Wang's show, because I don't think he did a whole episode about it, but I think he just mentioned it on another one. And it was kind of, I could see how it'd be really creepy if you were a kid when you saw it. I think it was a short film. I don't think it was like a huge, but it was animated. It kind of had that same animation style as kind of like Yellow Submarine. You know what I mean? Where, you know what I'm talking about? Where they're kind of like big, that kind of bulbousy looking kind of thing. And it looked like that. And there was indeed like this dude who had like this black poofy hair, like coming out like that, like climbing out of this clock and like grabbing this kid that was in the bed. I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I could see how that would be really terrifying. Well, because I had a similar experience.
It was animated?
Yeah.
All right.
I had a similar experience when I was a kid in the 70s. I saw an animated Jack and the Beanstalk that had a robot witch.
I remember something like
and
that.
it really it freaked me out. But I watched it like over and over because I loved shit that scared me. Like I'd be like, man, that was so scary, but then I want to watch it again. And I saw it a bunch of times, but then as the years went by, I kept mentioning it to people, and everyone looked at me like I had two heads. Like,
it sounds familiar to me.
What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. So for a while I was like, maybe I just imagined it. Like maybe I didn't really see that. But then later on, I did find it. There was indeed, I think it came out in 1970. I want to say 1974, but I could be wrong about that. And it's Japanese.
Japanese, yeah. Magnificat, something or other?
No.
It's not that one?
It's just called Jack and the Beanstalk. I don't remember what the Japanese title is.
Yeah.
But it's Jack and the Beanstalk is what it is.
Yeah, you know what? I think
I showed it to you.
I think my ex-wife had it on VHS tape, along with something called Magnificat. It had something to do with it was a Japanese cartoon about a cat. It was called Magnificat, but I don't remember what the name of the movie was.
Yeah, this
Jack and the Beanstalk was on it too, I think.
Yeah, it might have been. I
remember that witch. It doesn't malfunction and its head fly off and it doesn't like fall apart.
Well, the giant steps on her.
Steps on it.
Because what it is Jack, because I found it on YouTube after like many years later. Jack goes up, it's like your standard Jack and the Beanstalk story, except when Jack gets up to the you know, the top of the Beanstalk Kingdom or whatever. It's all like this cloud city kind of thing up there, and there's like a castle, and he meets this real spaced out girl. And I knew it was Japanese because, like, they didn't look super anime, but they looked like quasi-anime.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And she had, like, little pointy hair.
I saw it.
And it turned out later that it is Japanese, but they were trying to make it look more American, more like a Disney
Western,
film. They were trying to make it look more Western.
Yeah.
So it had, like, songs in it and stuff. But, like, the songs were kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Not like Disney songs, really. But yeah, so... he goes up there and he finds this girl, and he kind of, like, who's his age, you know what I mean? She's like a little teenager or something. And she's just like, hey, what's up? Like, she's all, like, high as balls or whatever. And then he meets this creepy old woman named Madame Hecuba.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I know this
and
one.
she's, like, super scary, and she has, like, this really scary voice. And at first, she, like, acts nice, but you can tell she's, you know, a bad guy or whatever. And she drugs him, and then she's going to eat him. Now, there is a giant in this, and the giant, she says that the giant is her son, but that obviously cannot be the case. You know what I mean?
Huge cooch.
The giant's name is Tulip. And he just looks like a big, dumb, you know, he looks like a big, dumb giant or whatever. I don't even think he talks, really.
I kind of remember him looking like a Frankenstein kind of.
A little bit.
With
Except
like a
he had
vest
kind of like long
fur
hair
vest
with like
and
with bangs. And he had boxer shorts with hearts on them.
Okay. I remember
And
that part.
and at some point it turns out that Madame Hecuba, who is a witch, because she can do like paranormal shit, like make stuff move around, like just by going like that. And she's been drugging this little girl to marry her son, the giant, so that she can inherit this kingdom. You know? Oh, and also she's turned everyone else in the kingdom into mice, I think. Or something like that.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, so it's real weird.
Yeah, I saw that as a kid, and then my ex-wife had that on a tape with another one that starred a cat called Magnificat, and I think we got high and watched them.
Yeah.
And I remember that Madame Hecuba. I remember all those words. I remember all those names.
Well, I think I showed it to you.
Is that what it is?
Because I, like, not too long ago, like a few years ago, because I said, I thought I imagined this, because every time I asked somebody about it, nobody else had ever seen it.
I can picture the artwork. It almost looks Eastern European or European. It doesn't look American or Japanese, actually. It looks foreign, but it looks like maybe like something from Czechoslovakia or something like, it kind of reminds me of that Russian shit. Pippi Longstocking and fucking the way it was drawn. You know, there's no way to describe it. You know, like Baba Yaga stuff.
Kinda. But yeah, it was just...
It just had a weird art style, I remember.
And the one scene in it that really creeped me out was when she was going to make this girl marry the giant. You know, obviously there was nobody in the kingdom to come to the wedding.
They were all mice.
So she turned everybody into mice.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you should have thought of that, dummy. But, so what she did was she cut out life-size people out of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Except they didn't look like people, but they had like little square heads and like arms and stuff. And she draped them all over the pews in the church. And then when she did magic and they all sat up, and I was like, whoa, it was like real creepy. And then they just had like little holes for eyes and like little holes for mouths and stuff. And I remember being really, really creeped out by that. But yeah, it's weird as shit. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. Just put like Japanese Jack and the Beanstalk like from the 70s. I think it's 1974. But I'm just saying that like for a long time I thought I had imagined it. But I did like a long blog post about it, and I think I might have done a video about it too, like over on my Scare Salon channel. But yeah, it made a big impression on me when I saw it as a kid, so I was like glad to find it again. You know what I mean? Yeah, Camp Guy says Baba Yaga is a scary one for me. Yeah, every time I think of Baba Yaga though, I just think of that fucking movie, that Russo Finnish movie that was on MST.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Jack Frost.
Yeah, the house with the fucking
the
chicken
house with
feet.
the chicken feet.
Yeah.
And then she could like just tell the house to turn around and like all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
like, I mean, that was kind of goofy. Also, she had a pig that could turn into a wooden sleigh that also kind of looked like a pig.
Yeah.
Because why
I was a
not?
kid when I saw it, it disturbed me.
That's a weird fucking movie too. But it's more goofy than scary. It's not really.
When you're a little kid, it's scary. Though.
Yeah.
Kinda.
But that's one of my favorite episodes of Mystery Science Theater. They had a fucking ball with that one because it was so fucking bizarre. Like there's so much weird
They
shit
play
happening.
that fucking crazy shit with Pippi Longstocking movies, which I think those might have been Swedish.
Yeah, wasn't Pippi? I think Pippi Longstocking was.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen any of the movies. I read the stories. Because I read the stories when I was little. I had like all these storybooks that had Pippi Longstocking stories.
I was a little kid, watching them, and Pippi Longstocking was a little girl. She's a little bit older than me. She was probably about 10 in the movie. I was a little bit younger than that. And she was cute. Hair was fucked up. Looked like Wendy from the Wendy's.
Yeah, from Wendy's.
Running around fucking fucked up old clothes and...
Yeah, she was like mismatched socks and like so patchy dresses and stuff.
Patches everywhere. And I think she lived in her own house. She didn't have parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all kinds of stuff. She was doing adventure.
Which kids think that's cool as shit.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, no parents.
Yeah, she just did her own thing. Yeah. Yeah. She was a wild woman.
She was
yeah, that was my first bad girl.
remanded into her own
My
custody.
first bad girl. And she's like fucking buck tooth or something. I think she's missing a tooth in front, I think.
Yeah, isn't she? Yeah, I thought she was.
I think
That's
so.
usually how she's portrayed.
It was dubbed.
Because I had a picture book that had Pippi Longstocking stories in it, but it had illustrations. But she's always described that way with her little red braids.
See if I can get a photograph of her. I'm sure she's...
Yeah, Klaus says Swedish. It's like children's TV in Norway. So they showed it there.
Yeah, children's TV in Norway.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. It's like back in the 70s.
CB said, I saw a stop motion animation and a monster would pluck the eyeballs out of children that wouldn't go to sleep and feed the eyeballs to its young. But I've never seen it since. It was creepy as fuck. Wow, now I kind of want to see that. Do you guys remember all of those... I'm sure these are probably not lost, although I haven't checked. Do you guys remember back in...
Here she is.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
A little bit. My hair didn't look that fucked up though. But it's kind of the same color. But I think it was back in the 90s MTV.
Yeah, that was Pippi Longstocking.
They showed. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that again. I would see how stupid that was.
We can watch it after the show if you want. We'll be nice and drunk.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty entertaining.
It's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Remember that time we had a few drinks and watched the old Land of the Lost episodes? That was super fun.
Yeah. It was obvious that little what's her name is fucking just coming
Holly.
on. Holly is just coming on her older brother Will.
I never realized it when I was a kid, but then we watched him as an adult. I was like, holy shit!
She's getting ready to jump down.
Down, girl.
She's getting ready to jump down this dude's fucking pads. He's probably about.
I couldn't believe it.
He's probably about 18. She's probably about 14.
Yeah.
And she cannot look at him without swooning.
Yeah,
and
it's
fucking whatever she's doing.
It's hilarious.
She's her eye contact. She's getting sucked into this fucking dude's eyes and shit.
It's hilarious.
So funny. No guile. She couldn't hide it.
Well, I mean, she's just a little kid. She was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She loved him. And fucking I remember seeing there were some interviews and she mentioned that.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh yeah, it was obvious that I just thought he was the hottest guy ever."
If you're a little kid, you don't really notice it, but when I watched it as an adult, it was super obvious.
Yeah, super obvious.
But no, back in the 90s on MTV, remember they used to show Liquid Television? Do you remember Liquid Television?
Yeah.
That was all animated shorts.
Yeah.
And I think probably Aeon Flux is the most popular one because they made that into a movie later with Charlize Theron and stuff, which
wasn't that good.
Which I heard was terrible.
Yeah.
Although I will admit I never had the slightest clue what was going on in that fucking cartoon.
Well, if you see them all threaded together,
that's probably what it was because you'd usually see them out of order.
Out of order, and they just a couple minutes at a time.
I used to like Winter Steel, which wasn't actually animation; it was puppets. She was a little biker chick, with white hair. And she had a boyfriend. Yeah. Did her boyfriend get murdered or I don't even remember. But I liked that and I liked Art School Girls of Doom, which was partial live action and partial puppetry. So I liked that too, but there was a bunch of cool shit on there. Some of them were just one-offs, but some of them were series. I wonder if they have that. I wouldn't mind having that on a box set if it's available. I mean, I feel like that was a pretty popular show, but, there's a lot of popular shows that have kind of disappeared. But they can sell anything nowadays. I would totally buy Liquid Television if they had it. Klaus says, when did MTV start in the USA? 1981. August of 1981. I remember. So, yeah. Mango says, if you can find it, check out the Singing Ringing Tree. Great nightmare fuel. Okay, I'm writing that down. I'm writing that down right now. There's just like, I don't know. There's just so much shit that I saw as a kid that I don't remember. I don't know why I just thought of this, but I used to have, when I was little, a 45 record. I don't know where I got it from. I'm sure somebody gave it to me because I was little, so I wouldn't have bought it on my own. I think it was called Simon Safety, is I think what it was called. And there was a little song on it about someone standing up in the bathtub and then slipping and then knocking their teeth out. And for some reason, I remembered that song for years afterward. And I'm sure there was other songs on it, but I don't remember those. I just remember that one, and I don't know why that one stuck with me. I guess because I was so horrified about the thought of slipping in the bathtub and, like, knocking my teeth out. You know what I mean? Klaus says, first video MTV played was Video Killed the Radio Star. Yep, that's right. That's the same thing they played over here. Because he was asking when MTV started. I said August 1981 is when it started here. But I don't know about other countries. But yeah. So here's another one that's a little bit more recent. Now, I've never actually seen this, and this has been found also. But for a long time, there was a movie that showed on Nickelodeon. For some reason, Nickelodeon has a lot of lost media.
Because they made a lot of shit.
I guess because they made so much stuff.
And they didn't replay it. It just
because I remember Wang talking about like some short films. I think they did like a whole series called Short Films by Short People or something. And they would make animated films like based on stories that kids came up with. And they said a lot of those are just gone. Like they only showed them once and nobody knows what happened to them. Like I guess they just got misplaced or they got destroyed or taped over or something like that. So they don't like have them anymore. So some people still remember them and they're gone. And I remember him talking too about one about like a Halloween one that was like pumpkins that like came to life or something. But I think they found that one too. But that was live action. But there was a movie and it came out in 2000 and it was called Crybaby Lane. And it was a Halloween movie. And evidently they showed it on Nickelodeon. And then it never got shown again. And then it like disappeared. And nobody could find it again like for a really long time. And so I guess, I don't even know if I'd call it an urban legend, but like, you know, rumors sprang up about it that it was like, oh, it was just far too scary. Like, it, you know what I mean? And people complained and like, so they couldn't show it anymore and blah, blah. But someone did find it, and they uploaded it to YouTube. I don't know if it's still there or not. So people could actually watch it and they're like, it was kind of creepy, but it wasn't like terrifying. So it's like, no one's really sure like why it didn't get shown again. Like, because there was nothing in it that was, like, super controversial. I've seen, like, little clips of it, but I should probably watch the whole thing one of these days. Just out of curiosity. But like I said, Nickelodeon, for some reason, has lots and lots and lots of lost media. Most of the shit, like, that's TV shows and stuff, is, that he talks about is Nickelodeon.
Yeah, one of the ones Wang was talking about was a whole cartoon centered around Ed McMahon's ass.
No, Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon's ass.
The wrestling
Ed
guy.
McMahon's the fucking. That's from
like that would be a whole different.
Vince McMahon's ass.
It did exist.
Yeah, he pulled his pants down and his ass would be in the back with the fucking jacked ass arms coming out of his ass. And
yeah, his ass had its own arms.
Its ass had its own arms. His ass would talk. His ass. He pulls a whole fucking Thanksgiving dinner out of his ass. And serves it.
Yeah.
And evidently that's all gone.
There's two. Okay. Yeah. So he did a whole show. This was fascinating.
It has some licensing problems and stuff.
What happened was, because this is lost media, we can talk about this.
Yeah.
And I remember enough details of it to kind of just give you the gist. So what happened is, this is WWF, WWE, whatever. So I don't really follow wrestling, so I don't really know. So forgive me if I get it wrong. But they wanted to come up with, like, they weren't shown on TV. I don't think they were internet shorts, like they would show on their website or something. It's like an internet series, like a web series. And somebody said, come up with, like, an idea that Vince McMahon would be really into. So apparently somebody came up with an idea of Vince McMahon, his ass is, like, his own character. Like, his ass is still attached, but his ass has its own arms and its, like, own personality, presumably. I don't know. I haven't really seen it.
Yeah.
And
his ass is another character.
Yeah. So, what was it called though? Was it called just Vince McMahon's ass, or I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the title of it was.
I'm sure it was based on fucking American slang. It's like his ass is going to come down here and fuck us up.
Yeah.
Look at his ass.
Well, I think that
they've kind of made that literal.
Well, because I know some of you guys follow wrestling, so isn't there a thing about Vince McMahon and like making people kiss his ass? So wasn't there like some kind of big thing about that? Yeah. And that's why they thought to do like this whole show about his ass.
Okay.
So apparently there's a show. The first episode was the first ass giving or something like that. Like it was a Thanksgiving show. And it was just short. Like I said, it was a web series. They were only like 5 minutes long or something. And apparently the story was that Vince McMahon and some of the other wrestlers, it was animated obviously, were having Thanksgiving dinner, but the caterer that they hired made all vegan food. And so Vince McMahon's ass got really mad. And did he suck the caterer into his ass? Or
I don't know.
I don't remember. But he definitely pulled a Thanksgiving turkey out of his ass, and then everyone ate it. So I'm like,
it was on a platter and everything, ready to go.
Okay, yeah. He cooked it inside his ass.
And his ass has arms and they're fucking with
like jacked arms.
Yeah.
So he just like he turns around and he just keeps his pants like right below his butt cheeks. So his ass can breathe, I'm assuming.
And there's no eyes that I could see.
No, he doesn't have a face. It's just an ass, but with like little jacked arms on it.
And I guess it talks.
Yeah, I don't know if it talks. So people were kind of able to find clips of that one. So they're like, okay, this really does exist. Evidently, there was a second episode called The Passion of the Ass, which was like a parody of Mel Gibson and like The Passion of the Christ. And apparently in this, like Mel Gibson, or an animated simulacrum thereof, kisses Vince McMahon's ass.
They're saying it's called the Vince Had a Kiss My Ass Club.
Oh, okay, the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I thought. I knew it had a name that was something about Vince McMahon's ass, but I couldn't remember exactly what the title was.
It's all that wrestling shit.
So, yeah, like, you guys know more about it than me, because Wang does a lot of wrestling stuff, too, and I'm just like, I watch it, but I'm just like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, I guess he's into wrestling. I was never really into it.
So I wasn't either. But yeah, so the second episode does exist. Now, apparently, according to the animators that made it, I think there were 6 episodes made, but the other 4 are gone, or they're in a vault somewhere. And they're not allowed to show them because there was a lawsuit by the makers of another animated show that was on Adult Swim that came out at around the same time or a little bit after, that was called Assy McGee. And it was about a sentient ass. Now, it wasn't an ass that was attached to a person. It was just an ass that had legs and smoked and was like a detective. It was like a noir.
Yeah.
Like he solved crimes. Like it was an ass solving crimes. And I was like, well, I want to see this show now. But it sounds really good. It sounds really good. And the animation's kind of cool. Like I said, I saw some clips of it. But apparently they thought that it was too similar, so they sued. And there was like a big legal wrangling about it. But they were kind of pointing out that Assy McGee and the Vince McMahon ass cartoon, I think the Vince McMahon ass one came out a little bit before. And as Wang pointed out, he's like, look, they're both about ass, like talking asses, or like an ass that does something. But it's like, other than that, they're not anything the same.
Yeah.
Like Assy McGee is like a noir crime show, except it's an ass as the detective.
To get sued.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. So they just like put the rest of them in the can.
They probably didn't make any money off these things anyway. So the last thing you wanted was to get sued over something that didn't make money.
Yeah.
So they just had to fucking shelve it. Which that's what I would do.
Yeah. How does said? Do you remember the Some Bizarre show? Slightly, but not really.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember I used to watch Sunday nights on MTV. They used to show The Young Ones, the British TV show, the comic strip, which had some of the same comedians, same actors as The Young Ones, and Liquid Television, and then they would show 120 minutes. And I used to tape all that. So I still have the tape somewhere, but I'm sure they probably don't even play anymore because they're so old. I used to have them all cataloged too, like what videos were on all of them. It had all the commercials on there and shit like that. So I have all kind of shit, but I don't know. I might still have them in a box in the attic someplace. But like I said, they might have degraded by this point. I'm not real sure. But yeah, so because I knew that some of you guys like watch wrestling. So he has a Kiss My Ass Club. Okay, that's what I thought. Like I thought he had alluded to that on the thing. So that's why the idea of making a show about his ass was so funny. That is a funny. Honestly, I'm kind of more intrigued by the Assy McGee concept. Like, because Wang showed some clips of the Assy McGee, which I think was on Adult Swim. And just the animation style, and it's just like the idea of like this little grizzled ass like smoking. Like, he doesn't have any hands. I would think he has hands. He has legs. He's legs and an ass. And he just has like a little cigarette like sticking out his butthole. and he's got like a little gun in a holster, I think. And he goes around solving crimes. And I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like, I really need to see that. That looks fucking hilarious. But I think it's serious. I'm not entirely sure. But I kind of want to see it. Papa said, I'm as big a fan of WWE as I am true crime. Oh, and Star Wars. Oh, okay. So, yeah, because I knew some of you guys were really into it. I just never got into it. I do have one wrestling thing on here later. Which, if you know anything about Lost Media, you might know what it is. But
by the time WWE and WWF and E came out, I was so involved in other shit that fucking... And to me, it was obvious that it was fake. And that it was just a spectacle.
Well, everybody knows that it's fake.
Like,
they just watch it like it's a drama.
Like it's a drama.
Because everybody's characters and they have like whole storylines. And
it's like live action cartoons.
Yeah. That's what people like about it. You know what I mean? CB said Eurotrash was great for Lost Media. Did you ever see it on Channel 4? You lived in the UK. I think I did see it a couple times. But I don't remember that much about it.
Damn.
Skeletor says, finally able to catch a live. It's been a while. Well, hey, welcome back. Yeah. Like I said, at least it's kind of a fun topic. And so, although it'll probably get considerably less fun as time goes on. You know what I mean? As we talk about like some of the videos.
Camp guy talking about aerobicize. I remember that shit.
Oh yeah.
Aerobicize was the original fat material for fucking 13-year-olds.
The original fat material.
The original fat material. Yeah. That was before you had fucking pay-per-view fucking porn. You just had aerobicize.
Or the Sears catalog.
Which, yeah, aerobicize was the stupidest fucking thing ever. It's just like fucking Coke chicks in fucking workout outfits.
And leotards and
tights. And shit. Fucking leg warmers. Doing stupid ass dances.
Just kind of stepping back and forth.
The cameras doing these provocative fucking angles, and they're fucking, and it's obviously shot like cross between porn and a music video.
Yeah. Well, they knew why everybody was watching it.
Yeah. Although fucking, it had nothing on Betty Hill. Betty Hill just have some big titty chicks and fucking with the asses hanging out through the bottom. That was a lot better. Just shaking boobs. That was just in your face there.
I mean, the British kind of were like...
Yeah. Although Benny Hill evidently gotten a lot of fucking trouble for that shit. People saying, well, he must be a dirty old man, that old sexist. Even though everybody said he was just a fucking normal guy, real cool. And didn't throw his weight around. He just... And he wasn't... He said, I don't understand why they're saying it's sexist. He goes, we're simping over these girls in every one of the shots. You know what I mean? Fucking, they're not going to have anything to do with us. We're old men.
And they are kind of making fun of...
They're making fun of the fact that they're simping and fucking... Yeah. And that they can't get it.
Because they used to show Benny Hill. They used to show a lot of British TV on PBS back in the 70s. Because I used to watch Are You Being Served and Benny Hill and Monty Python and Doctor Who. And they used to show all of that back here. Like even when I was little.
Back around 1980, 81 in California, they'd play it on the local channel. And fucking... That was racy by American standards.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't play it anywhere else other than California back in those days.
No, I was
just blown away, man. They had some hot British girls back then. I thought only Carolyn Monroe was hot. No, they had some fucking hotties.
Yeah, I mean, well, Carolyn.
They were boob men too, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I understood it. I was like, yeah, they like boobs too. Hell yeah.
The Brits of that era were very tit centric.
Yeah, tit centric.
Had the Page 3 girls, had all that stuff. But yeah, had all those Hammer movies.
Yeah,
with all those heaving bosoms.
I was a boob boy. I mean, fucking, I was a little boy already, like fucking boobs and shit. Fucking, I was into Russ Meyer's shit. You know what I mean? And that was considered to be like a fetish. If you like, in the American culture, oh, that's too big. No, it's not big enough. And then when implants came into vogue, skinny fucking coke horse with fucking huge implants came out by the time the 90s were around. Chicks like fucking Tiffany Towers and stuff, but it was just funny, you know. I was like, okay, yeah, it's coming true. I'm not the only one, you know. Just funny. You know?
I kind of feel like it's very common.
Very common, yeah.
Dudes are very into boobs mostly.
Yeah.
Mr. Faster Than Light B says, I loved 120 Minutes with bands and interviews like Sugar Cubes from Iceland. Yeah. That's kind of where Sugar Cubes got famous in America, was on, because when they debuted their video Birthday on 120 Minutes, like a lot of people picked up on it, and their album Life's Too Good like got real, it was like way up on the college charts. So that's kind of where they got their start, I feel like. I used to fucking love 120 Minutes.
Yeah.
It got kind of shitty in the 90s because, you know, after alternative music kind of went mainstream, a lot of times on 120 Minutes they were just playing the same videos they were playing during the day, and I'm like, what's the fucking point of this now? Because, what, you know, back in the 80s, they would play shit that they would never play in the daytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes they would, like, sometimes they play some stuff that wasn't that obscure, but, you know, they would play like a lot more obscure shit, and they had like a lot of good interviews and shit like that. Like I said, I have years and years of them on tape somewhere. It's probably up in the attic someplace.
Tom Baker's going, damn, you saw all that? Yeah. I saw the fucking Goodies. Fucking Dad's Army.
Yeah, I remember that one.
They
never, you know what? They never showed, or at least where I lived, which was in Daytona Beach, they never showed Only Fools and Horses. And my ex-husband, who was Welsh, was really into that show. And he showed it to me, and I just said, that was fucking funny.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, we even had, like, VHS tapes of it that we bought over there, and then we got them transferred.
Yeah.
Because you have to, because, you know, we don't have the same videotape. That's not really an issue anymore. But that show was, like, super fucking funny.
Yeah. Saw all the old Tom Baker Doctor Who.
Yeah. They had, like I said, they had a lot. PBS would show a lot of British TV.
Yeah.
Over here. So we got a lot of it. Like,
it's so
as
funny,
kids.
man. I was camping up in Sequoia with my aunt one time and ran across a British guy. He was probably in his 20s, though. He was just another one traveling. And I said, you're British? He's like, yeah. And I said, so you like Doctor Who? He goes, no, I hate Doctor Who. I said, you don't like Doctor Who? He goes, I hate Doctor Who.
I thought it was
like,
law. The law.
He goes,
I thought it was the law that all British people like.
And I says, what do you like? You know, and he says, oh, I like Star Trek. That was like, Star Trek.
Star Trek's awesome.
Yeah, I like Star Trek, but it was just like, I thought that was generic.
Yeah.
Because that was
It's like, well, obviously
everywhere.
Star
you know,
Trek is
Star
awesome.
Trek,
Everybody
yeah,
likes Star Trek.
Yeah.
I like the original Star Trek.
Wasn't as good as Doctor Who when you're a kid, you know.
Yeah, Caroline Monroe. Yeah, we were just watching some of Brendan Tenold's like old videos last night because, you know, we didn't have anything else to do and we were just kind of let him roll. And we watched his videos on Star Crash and Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter, which she was also in.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No, At Earth's Core.
At Earth's Core. The one with Doug McClure and Peter
I saw that one in
Cushing.
the theater when I was a kid.
That's a fun movie. I like that movie. I think we reviewed it, probably.
All Caroline Monroe.
Yeah. She's pretty, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
What's funny is that how dark-skinned she is.
I don't really see it.
You know what I mean? How dark-skinned she is.
Like, she's hot and everything, but she's not like...
Was she tanned, or was that her normal skin color, I wonder?
I don't know, man.
I think they did tanning booths and tanned out a lot, but she was like, either that or she was part Indian or something. I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. Florence says, I gotta tell my wrestling fan friends about the McMahon ass cartoon. I bet they probably already know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know about it, but I'm not like a wrestling person. Like I said, I saw it on Wang and I thought that was funny as shit. Especially when you brought up the Assy McGee stuff, which is not lost media as far as I know. But
yeah, there's stills.
But the Vince McMahon ass cartoon is.
Yeah, there's stills of Vince McMahon ass cartoon. He shows them.
I'm just like,
it looks good.
That's
it looks
great.
funny.
I mean, I would watch that.
Yeah, it looks funny.
And I don't even care about wrestling, but I would still watch it.
And his ass is jacked.
Yeah.
Huge muscular arms coming out of it.
Yeah. Highdeather says, our whole family watched Benny Hill. It just seemed very wholesome in a British sort of way.
Did it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we all kind of sat around and watched it, but sometimes it was on. And, like, we'd all just kind of, like, my grandma would be watching it and shit like that. It was a different time, I guess. You know what I mean? I haven't seen him in a long time.
Just remember, very shapely British chicks with old-fashioned hairdos by today's standards, in stockings and garters, just shaking it, and fucking, and Benny Hill fucking losing his shit over it, you know, like he's getting ready to pass out.
Yeah, he just keeps mugging.
And
at
then the old
camera.
man passes out. Remember, he had the old man kept slapping him on top of his head, looked like a little buzzard.
Yeah.
That dude would pass out. Just funny shit.
He just couldn't take it.
Couldn't take it.
He couldn't take the hotness.
Couldn't take those ass waves.
That's
coming off of
hilarious.
it, yeah.
I wish I could make people pass out just by shaking my boobs a little bit.
It's like ass
I
radiation.
just kind of go like that, and there's like,
yeah. He's swooning.
that'd be so
I can
fun.
feel him now. I understood it.
Tom's like, I understand.
Yeah, I'm
where
like
you're
12 or
coming-
13 going, oh
I
yeah.
understand where you're coming
Hell
from.
yeah. Hell yeah. That'll knock me out too.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen to this. Okay, so I didn't know about this. I was a big Sesame Street watcher when I was a kid. I guess a lot of kids were back then. I used to love Sesame Street, and I still remember like a lot of skits from it. I loved all the puppets. I loved Grover. I loved all of that shit. But in 1976, there was an episode of Sesame Street that had Margaret Hamilton, Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, and she was on it, being the Wicked Witch of the West. And
That poor woman.
from what I could gather,
Yeah.
the show was kind of about fear and like how you dealt with fear.
Right.
Because she like apparently like flew over Sesame Street and like lost her broom or something.
Now, what year was this?
76.
So she had gotten considerably older.
Yeah,
At
I've
this
seen
point.
stills from it.
Yeah.
I mean, she looked like a witch in the 1930s.
Poor woman, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like she didn't really look. She still looked like a witch. So I don't really know how much like makeup and stuff they had on her. But because the picture that I saw was black and white.
I saw I remember seeing other shots of her, like portrait glamour shots to get jobs. She's not ugly. She's not ugly. She's kind of, I would call her handsome in a certain way, but she's definitely not a beauty queen in terms of, she didn't have that kind of face. It was just kind of hatchet faced.
Well, she just ended up playing to her
She had a
strengths, I guess.
Very strong face.
If you want to be
yeah.
an actor,
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone can be like the hot beauty queen person.
Well, they need a bunch
Or
of
the
different
male
roles.
models. Yeah, they need regular ass looking people, or they need
Yeah,
ugly ass
scary
looking people,
people.
scary people.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to find your niche, and I guess you just.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a bummer at first, because you want like leading roles and stuff, and you're probably never going to get one. But the thing about it is that I would kind of feel like it was sort of cool. I think it's cooler like playing villains.
If you actually,
It's probably more fun.
If you actually look at the career lifespan of hot leading women, they don't last long.
That's it. Yeah.
They make 7 or 8 movies.
Character
and
actors
Yeah.
have
They've been around
like
forever.
much longer
Yeah.
careers
more lifespan.
because it's not just based on what they look like.
Yeah. And then as soon as she becomes kind of a has-been, they don't want to put her up on screen because she doesn't quite look the way she used to.
Or she has to play somebody's frumpy mom,
Yeah, and then by then it's kind of like a
like
downer.
like on a Lifetime
but I think
movie or something.
I think that when that happens, it's like a downer
Yeah.
for the audience. So like, nah, let's not put her in that.
It's like,
role.
man, she used to be so
She used to be
pretty.
so-
Now
yeah,
look
right,
at her.
look at
She's
her.
someone's frumpy mom.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a bummer.
I mean, and, you know, even if they hold together pretty well, they're not going to use them exactly the same way, and they're going to they have to have like a long cooling off period. Like, who's the chick that played fucking Catwoman in the old one? Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. In the Tim Burton.
In the Tim
Batman?
Burton one?
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer.
She still looks great.
She does. I saw her
She
in a movie
still
like
looks
not
great.
that long ago. I'm like, holy crap, she doesn't really look that. I mean, you can tell she's older, but she
Yeah.
doesn't look that different.
Does she look like she did in that Catwoman movie? No.
No, but I mean, you
No,
know.
but she's, you know, she'd probably have to fucking go on a bunch of clenbuterol and lose a bunch of weight to get back into that outfit again. But she's not fat by any means. It's just that there's just she just doesn't look like that anymore. She's obviously in her 50s, you know,
Or maybe, well, yeah.
maybe even older. But she's
maybe older.
well preserved. She's sexy.
Yeah, she looks good, I think.
She's sexy, yeah. But she just does not look like that character anymore in that movie, because that was a young woman.
Yeah.
You know, just
But so in
So-
some ways, I don't know. I guess it's kind of
her
a
career is kind of.
it's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah.
If your whole career was based on you being beautiful
Yeah.
and getting leading roles, yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
not going to last that long. Like once you start pudging out a little bit or getting a wrinkle, they're going to cast some younger chick.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like I said, you're gonna end up on Lifetime playing Frumpy Moms.
Yeah. Although, what's her name from fucking The Substance fucking kicked ass. Fucking,
She was so good in that.
Yeah, what's that girl's name again?
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore. Demi Moore at 50-something. She's probably 56, 57.
No, she's actually 61.
61, oh man.
She's 61.
She
was playing a 50-year-old in the movie like she had just turned 50.
Yeah.
And I bought it.
Yeah.
But then I looked up later and they said, no, she's actually 61. So she's
good.
actually 11 years older than she was.
And they showed unflattering
like
nudes of her.
naked in unflattering light,
yeah,
like bathroom light.
Extensive unflattering
And close-ups
views of her.
Of body parts.
Yeah. And she still looked great. She still looked great for a woman of her age. Actually, she would look great for any women. There's a lot of women that are younger that don't look that good.
Yeah.
But
I think
just
that's...
like, wow, she aged very well.
But I think that's kind of...
And her acting skills are fucking great. I gotta buy that movie. I want that shit on hard copy.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that. But I think that was really good. I think she was like the perfect choice for that because she was still... I mean, she's clearly older, but she's still beautiful. She still looked really good. And that just kind of compounded the kind of quote-unquote message, if you want to call it that, of the movie, that it's like, even though she still looked good and she still looked hot, it just still wasn't good enough.
Not for her career.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, they still wanted somebody younger, hotter, shit like that. They didn't give a shit about all the history of it. They didn't give a shit that she still looked good and she was still in good shape. They're like, nope. And they just kind of threw her out.
I liked how they showed that happen, though. The older version of her, it's almost kind of like, remember how the chick from Barbarella, what was her name? Fucking
Jane Fonda?
Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda had a workout thing.
I remember.
She was older.
That was very famous.
She was in her 40s and 50s. She looked great for 40s and 50s. She had a following, but it was an older following. Okay? Then they showed, okay, what happens if we replace Demi Moore with this fucking much younger, hotter version of her? All of a sudden, that show just goes to number one. She's got a brand new fucking following with a shit ton of more vibrant fucking crowd in her audience, and her career fucking is much bigger. It's not to say that fucking the older version was a failure. It's just not quite the same success as the younger one.
Yeah.
You know. That's and then they had Dennis Quaid played the fucking skeevy ass fucking studio.
Man,
fucking
he's
executive.
good at playing roles like
great
that.
In that. He's fucking great in that. And he's just
so fucking smarmy.
For him, it was just all about the money. Okay, you're out of here. We're replacing.
Like those close-ups on him eating the shrimp and stuff. That was so
shrimp.
fucking gross. That was so fucking gross. Like, he was just disgusting. He's a disgusting pig. Like, I just really, really liked all the way they used close-ups and stuff like that. That was fucking great. Big Dog says Gail Honeycutt, the hot wife in Legend of Hell House, was a smoke show. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of always more into Pamela Franklin, the one that plays the other little psychic girl. But she was in The Innocents when she was much younger, obviously, when she was a little kid. When did The Innocents come out? 1961, I want to say. So she was still a little girl. But then when she was a bit older, she was in Legend of Hell House. Oh, Pamela Franklin was also in fucking Food of the Gods. That movie about the giant, well, it wasn't just giant rats, it was kind of giant everything. But it was a terrible, terrible movie. It's kind of entertaining. It's pretty entertaining, but it's pretty awful. I did like a long video over on my other channel that was Food of the Gods and Empire of the Ants. I did like a whole bit, because I remember really watching those a lot, like when I was a kid, and I wanted to revisit them. I had forgotten how fucking bonkers fucking Food of the Gods was. And also how they killed real rats in there,
yeah.
pretty sure. And I was just like, oh, not cool. I think they drowned some of them too. You know, so I was not happy about that.
Shoot them in the heads with pellet guns.
And just rewatching Kingdom of the Spiders again too, I'm like, they're really killing those tarantulas. Knock it off.
Papa
oh my
said
god.
She's 67.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah.
Yeah, shit. Okay, so she's older than
she looks real good for 67.
Yeah, I mean... Alright, so, let me see. So, where was I? Okay, so, 1976, the Sesame Street episode had the Wicked Witch of the West on it. Evidently, they showed it one time, And then a bunch of pearl clutching, and this was in the 70s, so it's not a new phenomenon. Bunch of pearl clutching parents called and complained and said it was too scary, like the witch was too scary. I don't know what happened on the episode. Like, I think it's available now, but for a long time it wasn't, because they just, like, locked it up and they never showed it again. So they said, yeah, it's too scary, so they just, they just stuffed it away someplace. But evidently, a couple years back, somebody somewhere, I don't know how they got hold of it, but they leaked it. So evidently you can find the episode online nowadays, but I don't know. It might be on YouTube, I'm not sure. Now I'm kind of curious to see it, because I had no idea. And then somebody said earlier, High Desert said, I remember when Margaret Hamilton was on Mr. Rogers. Now that you mention it, I kind of remember that too. For some reason, the main stuff I remember from Mr. Rogers, because I used to watch Mr. Rogers a lot too, was all the fantasy stuff with King Friday and all that, and the trolley and the little kitty that lived in the clock and stuff. And but for some reason, I remember an episode where he went to a mushroom farm. And it was, like, underground, but, like, obviously, because they have to kind of grow in the thing. And so it's, like, down in this mine or cave or something. And he had to put on, like, the hard hat with the light on it. And there was just, like, all of these, like, just tables, that had, like, dirt and had, like, mushrooms growing in there. Because I think when I was a kid, I had never realized that that's how mushrooms grew. Because, I'd see mushrooms out in the yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it didn't occur to me that it's like they grew them like in this fucking caves, like underground, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And so for some reason, that's like the main memory I have of the Mr. Rogers show, is him going to a mushroom farm. And it's like, I don't even remember what episode that was or nothing. It's like, I don't know. See, I don't know why certain things like stick in my brain like that and other things don't. Like, 'cause it just seems so fucking random. So, we already mentioned London After Midnight. Probably the most famous lost silent movie, even though there are a lot of lost silent movies. But I think this one is the most famous because it had Lon Chaney in it. And it was directed by Todd Browning, who also did the original Dracula from 1931, obviously. Now, this movie came out in 1927. Now, there are stills of it. And obviously Lon Chaney, Man of a Thousand Faces, so he did like his own makeup. And from the stills, like the makeup looks really cool. And just from the stills, I'm just like, man, I really want to see that. It looks like it was like really fucking creepy. But they don't think it exists anymore. I think there's like a 9 or 10 second clip of it somewhere that I've seen. But they think, no one's sure, they think that the last copy of it was destroyed in a vault fire in 1967.
And what was the movie about?
I thought, wasn't it I can't remember if it was like Jekyll and Hyde or like Burke and Hare.
I don't know what Burke and Hare is.
They're the grave robbers, the Scottish grave, weren't they Scottish? Okay. The famous grave robbers. They were real dudes.
Okay.
But wasn't it kind of something like that, I want to say? It was based on something like that. Okay. But now I can't remember. CB says Jack the Ripper. I didn't think it was based on Jack. Oh, maybe it was. But it was based on something, like, real. It was either based on something real or, like, a novel. But yeah, it looks really cool, like, from the stills. I don't know if they'll ever... I mean, I don't know. They kind of say all this stuff about, well, look what happened with fucking Nosferatu. You know what I mean? It's like they thought all of those were destroyed because that was a court order to destroy it because of the lawsuit from, Bram Stoker's widow.
Yeah, well, somebody saved one.
But somebody saved one. So, I don't know. So I guess it's still possible. You'd think somebody would have come up with it after all this time, but you never know. Like, it could literally be anywhere.
Looks like Papa.
Thank you very much. Papa gave us a super chat. I'm just enjoying the show tonight. Thank you guys for being so entertaining. Aw.
Yeah, this is a fun show tonight.
Yeah, like I said, it'll get less fun as time goes on because I kind of went more. I kind of went darker as time went on. So here's another lost movie. Now apparently this still exists, but no one wants to show it. I had kind of heard of this a long time ago. Remember Jerry Lewis, the comedian?
Yeah.
Did the Jerry Lewis telethon much later for, what's it, muscular
Nutty
dystrophy
Professor.
or whatever? Nutty Professor, all that kind of stuff. A little too broad for my taste, honestly. But,
Too wacky.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He was kind of like Jim Carrey, like mask era Jim Carrey. It's too much. I can't. I don't like that kind of humor. It's just too over the top. But he made a movie in 1972 called The Day the Clown Cried. The premise of this movie sounds incredible. Actually, it kind of sounds like what was that movie with fucking that movie Life is Beautiful? I think it's kind of maybe sounds like that a little bit. But apparently, so Jerry Lewis is a clown, obviously, and he gets put. It's set in World War II, so he gets put in a Nazi concentration camp, and they basically tell him that you can live, like we'll let you go, if you entertain the kids, put on your clown makeup and entertain the kids as we're walking them into the gas chamber. And it was like, I was like, who the fuck thought that would be a good idea for a movie? Like, that would make a good... Okay, I don't know about 1972. Probably nowadays, like, you could make a very dark comedy about that. And that has been done. But I kind of feel like 1972, maybe it was just too soon. You know what I'm saying? And evidently, like, some people did see this movie, and to a man, they all said, what the fuck was he thinking? Like, who okayed this? Like, you guys were on set every day for however long, and you guys allowed this to happen. It's just like, this is the worst fucking thing ever. Like, no one involved in this should ever, like, show their face. It was, like, a big deal. Like, everybody had to flip it out.
Did it come out?
It never came out. Like, it got shown, like, to, you know, very, like, reviewers and things like that. But, like, I don't think it was ever released. Because every single person that saw it... What?
They interpreted it as anti-Semitic?
Just in super, super poor taste.
Okay.
They said just the way... They said it was almost like... He was trying to be funny, but then, like, the rest of it was, like, super, super grim and serious. And it's like, it just did not... Like, tonally, it was just really uncomfortable to watch. They're just like... It was just a huge misfire. Like I said, it's either something like that, because there was a movie like that with... what's his fucking name? Roberto Benigno, right? What? Isn't that his name? Whatever his name is. Wasn't it called Life is Beautiful? And it was about a guy that was like, he wasn't a clown, but he was a comedian or like an entertainer or something. And he would entertain kids like at the camp, like not while they were walked in the gas chamber, but he would kind of make them feel better or whatever. I think he gets killed at the end or whatever. But it's a good movie. But it was like more serious.
Is the death camp?
Yeah.
Or in a concentration camp?
Yeah. But it was kind of more serious. And it was kind of like more of an uplifting story where he was just like making everyone's last days like a little bit better, like by trying to cheer everybody up or trying to be optimistic or whatever. So it was kind of like poignant, I guess. But this movie was evidently not that. So yeah, and even Jerry Lewis himself, after a few people saw it and reacted very negatively, basically he took it, the movie, and just locked it up somewhere and said, I am never showing that to anybody. So yeah. So apparently there is a copy of it in the Library of Congress, so I have heard. And after...
Well, it's time to unleash that bitch.
Yeah, evidently it's supposedly that they're going to be allowed to show it after 2024, which is now. Yeah. But so far I don't think anyone's done a viewing of it yet. Were they waiting for Jerry Lewis to die? Or something, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of curious.
He's been dead for a long time, I think.
Yeah, he's been dead for a while, I thought. I'm kind of curious to see it, because it sounds, just from the description of it...
Sounds wild.
It just, like I said, it just sounds like it was done, like, in really poor taste. You could make, I believe you can make a movie about anything, and make it good, if you know what you're doing. But evidently, they did not. Like, they said the tone of it was just...
CB said that London After Midnight was supposed to be about Jack the Ripper.
Okay, so maybe it was. Maybe it was.
Lon Chaney played the Ripper.
Oscar's laughing at me. It's a terrible movie. It's kind of entertaining. It's very entertaining. Well, see, okay. There's two kinds of terrible movies. There's terrible movies that are terrible because they're boring as fuck, and they're a chore to sit through. And then there are terrible movies that are so fucking terrible, And you can't even imagine why anyone would conceive of this idea or have other people go along with it and actually put it on celluloid and put it in front of other people's eyeballs, that it goes all the way around and becomes entertaining again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They've done, like I said, if you know anything about, because I grew up watching MST3K, and it's like they did some of the worst movies ever. Some of them, while bad, I would watch them even without the riffing, because I'm like, that shit is so terrible that it's fucking hilarious. Unintentionally hilarious. But some of the movies they did were just dull. Like, I wouldn't watch them without the jokes, you know?
That's the problem. A truly bad movie isn't bad, per se. A truly bad movie is fucking boring.
It's boring.
And they had some fucking expensive movies that are just boring as shit. Well made, and they're just boring. You know, and then they have some pieces of shit that are fucking just super fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Birdemic.
Fucking...
That movie is just baffling.
Velocipaster.
Although they kind of made that bad on purpose.
Yeah.
But in a good way. Because
Yeah.
usually if you try to make something bad on purpose, it's not as funny as you were intending.
Velocipaster had
But that one was.
It had a lot of comedy in it.
Yeah. That one was.
Yeah.
But they were trying to make a bad movie on purpose, I think.
Shit that isn't supposed to be bad, that came out this, Star Crash, maybe. Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that...
I just was like shaking my head through Battles Beyond the Stars, like, this is some corny shit. Roger Corman.
I mean, yeah, I like bad movies that are just so terrible and so incompetent that you just can't believe it. That it just goes all the way around because funny again, because...
We watched another Corman sci-fi horror flick that I remember watching it when it came out, and I liked it, and then I saw it again. It was the one about the people on that research center where they had fucking virus that was grown. It was kind of like Alien, and they had the two hotties. They're constantly doing nude scenes.
Yeah,
and shit.
We just rewatched it not too long ago.
And the mad scientists trying to get this sample, and remember it was taken over.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the fucking details about it, but I liked it when it came out. And I was like, this is a terrible B movie, man, but it's fun. At least it's showing TNA, and they got fucking gross deaths. The one that I did not know was going to be a classic was Galaxy of Terror.
That was actually a good movie.
When it came out, that was another Corman flick. I was like, this is fucking pretty good. It was sandwiched between a corny story of some universal motherfucking Martin the Martian. But when they finally got to the planet, and it was James Cameron that did all the special effects.
That's why they're so good.
And he got hired to do Alien 2, Aliens. And the movie he did before that was pretty fucking good. Galaxy of Terror. That's the only movie where you saw a hot chick get raped by a gigantic fucking caterpillar.
If that's your kink, that's the movie for you.
Slimed her up and everything.
Because it's, yeah.
And they had the chick.
It happened.
And they had the chick from fucking Happy Days was in it.
Yeah, Erin Moran.
Erin Moran was in it, yeah.
Captain Spaulding was in it.
I thought they were going to give us a fucking nude shot of Erin Moran. They never did, though.
No, it wasn't in her contract, I guess. Sid Haig is who I'm talking about. Sid
Haig. They
Haig
only had a couple of lines in it. I live for the crystals. The crystals. I live for the crystals. That's all he said.
Yeah, what was his deal? Like, didn't he have crystals in his arms, or they shot out his arms, or something? I don't know.
He had these crystalline weapons that he could throw.
That's right.
And they were like, that was part of his religious cult. And when the alien mindfucker got onto him, a piece of the crystal jumped up into his arm, remember? And went up.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And to keep it from going up into his heart, he cut his own arm off but it was all a hallucination. He killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like dope.
Galaxy of Terror. If you haven't seen it, see it.
Yeah, we reviewed it a while back. That's actually I think that's a legit good movie. Like it's obviously cheap.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty decent.
It's obviously not super well thought out.
No.
But it still looks great.
I was entertained the whole way through.
Yeah, I thought the shit was spooky, man.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think James Cameron was the production designer on it, or the effects supervisor or whatever.
Yeah, that movie got him.
So it looks really good.
That movie got him recognized that he was able to get those effects for such a small amount of money. And they put him on Aliens.
Yeah.
Fantastic flick. Yeah.
Big Dog says better to see Aaron Moran nude, not Tom Bosley. I agree with you on that. You know what's funny is what's her name that that played the mom, Marion Ross?
Yeah.
She was on an episode of, was it Thriller? The Boris Karloff hosted show. I think because I remember seeing her in there. I'm like, that's Mrs. Cunningham. That was the only other thing I'd ever seen her in. I guess she did a lot of TV, but it's like that was the first time I'd ever seen her outside of Happy Days. And the funny thing about it was that the episode she was in of Thriller came out, I think, in 1961, and she was super cute. And there was a line in there where they were doing her and her husband or whatever were doing a toast, and he said to Happy Days, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I think in my video that I did about it, I said, ooh, it's like a preemptive Easter egg.
Yeah.
I was like, that was pretty fucking creepy, because I don't think Happy Days started until the 70s, did it? That was pretty crazy. But yeah, so she was in an episode of Thriller, but I don't remember which one it was. I'd have to go back and look at my back catalog. I'm still working my way through all of those Thriller and Night Gallery episodes. It's taking me forever. I just haven't really had time to do any other videos lately because I've had so much like graphic design work to do. Like I've had like zero time. I have another crime immemorial video. I have it recorded. I just haven't edited it and posted it yet.
Oscar Perez is here. What's up, Oscar? Haven't
Yeah.
seen you around in a while. Dude, Oscar, have you seen Galaxy of Terror? You can watch it for free on YouTube. They got it. Or they usually have it.
I think it's on Amazon Prime too.
Or Amazon Prime. Usually they have it for free.
Because I think we just rewatched it not too long ago and it was on there. But I mean,
That's a good fucking...
stuff changes out.
That's a good retro horror flick. Horror sci-fi.
I still can't believe they got away with that woman being raped by a giant caterpillar thing.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty, I mean...
And she looked good, too.
You know, it wasn't porn, but I was like, wow,
It was
was pretty graphic.
It was pretty close.
I was like, wow, I can't believe they
She
didn't cut
achieved
that out.
climax. And the thing killed her. Some wild shit, man. Slimed her up and everything. Suction cups.
Yeah, it was a very slimy
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't fucking believe.
Yeah, and she's pretty built, too.
I can't believe they showed that. And you were like, what?
I was like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do to Aaron Moran?
I mean,
nothing
nothing.
happened.
Nothing hasn't happened. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, no, I'm not doing that.
It had real good costumes, real good, sensible equipment. The sets looked really good. It looked like some out of Alien. And that's why he got Alien 2 on it. It was an Alien ripoff.
Yeah.
That's what the movie
It was
was.
still good, though.
Yeah.
Like, as Alien ripoffs go.
As Alien ripoffs.
Because there were a lot of those.
It's
A lot of
sandwiched
those.
between a dude playing like a game of chess, and he's like some spiritual overlord of the universe, and he's I didn't really understand it. The Force.
Yeah, don't worry
The
about it.
Force. Okay. And some dude
just watch it. But I was like the woman getting raped by the giant caterpillar scene. That's kind of up there with like what the fuck, holy shit, I can't believe they got away with that scenes.
Yeah.
As the scene from Reanimator where Barbara Crampton gets oral sex from a severed head.
From the severed head, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's looking up. Oh.
You know?
Yeah, that was a great.
Because like there's just scenes in movies where you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe they got away with that. But yeah.
Especially back in those days.
Yeah.
And we were kids when we saw these. We were just like, what?
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. They're like, they'll do anything now.
Yeah, crazy.
We love those movies.
Well, yeah. I mean, I still love those movies. I mean, that's one of the best scenes ever. I still can't believe like Barbara Crampton did that. She laughs about it now.
Barbara Campbell's fine ass.
I know.
She
I
was
love
fucking-
her.
She was fine and fucking.
I follow her on Instagram and she's fucking adorable.
Yeah,
like
she's so cute.
she posts like a lot of pictures because she
Yeah.
goes to like a lot of horror conventions and stuff. And I always laugh because she always makes like the same expression. Like in all her photos, she's always like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my god, she's so cute.
Yeah.
She's so cute. She seems like a delightful person.
Yeah, and she's in her 60s too. Huh?
Hopefully none of y'all have met her and say, nah, she's actually a cunt. She seems like a really nice person. But I don't know. I've never met her.
She was great in fucking From Beyond also.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And she was super foxy in that too.
Yeah, she put on the fucking
With the BDSM outfit.
Yeah, and then tried to rape the black cop. Dude, remember remember they was trying to get it on and shit. I was going, oh yeah, boy, we're gonna get some fucking BBC rich action here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's back in the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
And they snap out of it because the cosmic sexual waves of the machine. Remember?
Yeah.
Did you see what happened? Whoa. Yeah. What happened? What we
Come on,
almost
turn it
fucked.
back on.
We almost fucked.
That was a great one.
She was in.
And if you like those movies and you haven't seen Dagon, you got to see Dagon. That's
And-
another Lovecraftian movie. It's the same company, kind of. I think it had a lot of the same people from Reanimator and From Beyond. Did Dagon.
Yeah.
It didn't have fucking Wes's name in it though, unfortunately.
Jeffrey Combs.
Didn't have Jeffrey Combs in it, but they had a Jeffrey Combs like character.
That's
in it.
a Jeffrey Combs stand-in.
But the movie was actually better than both those two movies. Dagon, Spanish movie.
I
In
really
English.
I really like Dagon. I think it's like one of the most Lovecraftian of the Lovecraft movies.
Yeah, I got it on Blu-ray. I got a steelbook edition.
And I feel like a lot of people maybe haven't seen it. I feel like it's a little underrated.
Yeah.
But just on my my Flickers of Fear series not too long ago, I reviewed a movie called Suitable Flesh, which I think was from 2023, I think it was, and it was based on an H.P. Lovecraft story, The Thing on the Doorstep, and it had Barbara Crampton in it.
Yeah.
She wasn't the main role, but she Heather Graham was actually the main role. It was like you could tell they were trying to homage like the Stuart Gordon films of the 80s, but it was kind of also doing its own thing. I kind of feel like, and I think I said this in my review, but like, you know, reviews of it were like super polarized. They were either like, this is the stupidest thing ever, or oh my god, this is awesome. I actually really, really liked it because I understood what they were going for. It's not super realistic. It's kind of over the top, and it has like a lot of, it's kind of smutty, but you know, I was all right with that. Like smutty in like kind of a cheesy way. You know, if that makes any sense. Some people were like, oh my god, what is this, Red Shoe Diaries? So it's that kind of vibe, but I was kind of like, I see what you're doing there. It's all right. It's all right. Oscar says Dagon was oddly kinky too. It was, actually. One of these days, I still want to do a costume of that chick. Like with the gold in the wheelchair with the tentacles. I mean, it would be complicated. If I was going to a con or something, I probably would. But I've been wanting to do it for a really long time. And you have to get like that weird crown thing that she had. But you'd have to be in a wheelchair with tentacles, and you'd have to have somebody push you around all the time. You know, which I wouldn't mind, obviously, but the person that had to push me would probably not be that excited about it. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about the movie Toy Story, which obviously everybody's very familiar with, I would think. So, but you know, the original Toy Story, of course, beloved film. However, what some people may not know is that it almost got scrapped completely. So there is, or was, a cut of the movie called the Toy Story Black Friday cut. And this was made, I guess it was a rough cut of the movie, because it's animated, obviously. And in this first version, Woody, Tom Hanks' character, is a lot different. Like, he's basically a gigantic asshole. Which, in the movie that everyone ultimately saw, you know, he's kind of, like, insecure and like a little bit of a dick at first, but he's like a good-hearted I was gonna say dude, but he's a toy. You know, he's a toy that comes to life. But in this original one, yeah, he was a real dick. He was like super sarcastic. When Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen's character, shows up, like he straight up like pushes him out a window, and he's just like a real fucking jerk to him. And apparently the whole vibe of the movie, and they made like a rough cut of it. Like I said, pretty much like an entire cut, enough to show to executives. And the whole tone of the movie was completely different. Buzz Lightyear was also kind of more of a dork. I guess he was kind of more bumbling and like not really heroic or anything. So they showed it to the executives at Disney, this rough cut, and they were like, absolutely not. They said, we're either going to cancel this whole project or you have to start all over again. So they had to do the whole fucking movie over again and like make Woody not such a jerk. And they just kind of retooled the whole thing in just like a few months. Like they shut the whole production down and they had to start all over again. They had to like re-storyboard it and everything. So I think all that survives of the quote unquote Black Friday cut is I've seen like some storyboards, like some sketched storyboards, and there's some audio of it that leaked, like of obviously Tom Hanks and Tim Allen like doing the voiceovers. So some of that has leaked, and yeah, you can tell it would have been like a completely different movie. I don't know, darker, but just like more mean-spirited, I guess. And I guess like the Disney executives did not like that. And ultimately, I guess they were right, because the whole movie was retooled. Toy Story came out and was obviously a gigantic hit and has spawned 3 sequels so far.
Yeah, what year was that came out?
When did the first Toy Story come
90s?
out? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we went and saw Toy Story 4 in the theater, like, a couple years back.
Yeah, we went to review it.
Yeah.
It made no impression. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, the original movie is a classic. It's
Right,
it's so good. And even that was good. I think, like, you probably like it better if you'd seen all the other ones.
Right.
Because, you know, there's more of, like, it's all the same characters and stuff. But yeah, it's just funny how, I don't know why they thought that would fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But evidently they did, like, the whole fucking movie. I don't think it was, like, finished, but they did, like, a whole rough cut of it. And they had done all the voices. Because they usually do the voices first, as far as I'm aware. So there is some audio of it that leaked. But, yeah, so I don't know how much of it survives. But, yeah, it's pretty... that's kind of a pretty well-known piece of lost media. There was also... And actually, I didn't know this either, since we're talking about animated films. The animated film, Shrek. The original Shrek... was supposed to be voiced by Chris Farley from SNL. And he had actually recorded almost all of the dialogue for Shrek when, as you probably surmised, he died. So I saw like a couple clips of, again, like kind of sketch storyboards and some of the audio of Chris Farley doing the voice. And even like in the storyboards, like Shrek doesn't look the same as because he looks more like Chris Farley. You know what I mean? They kind of made him look more like that in the drawings. And the character was a lot different. Like he was a lot more, I don't know, like
annoying.
Well, no, he was
Chris
a lot
Farley
more
was
like
annoying as
he
fuck.
was, yeah. He was a lot more insecure. Kind of more vulnerable, I guess, interestingly. So after he died, you know, he had done almost all the work, so obviously they went and hired Michael Myers, you know, not from Halloween, obviously, but the other guy from SNL, and the character became completely different, because Michael Myers, for whatever reason, decided to do his famous Scottish accent for Shrek, which actually I think kind of worked. And Shrek became a much more, like, sarcastic kind of character, which I think kind of worked out better. Because the original Shrek is funny as shit.
Michael Myers is supposed to be insufferable as fuck.
I mean, he probably
And
is.
a
But that
Superman.
movie is fucking funny. And Eddie Murphy does the voice for a donkey.
Yeah.
And he did in the original,
Yeah.
too. But it's like, you know what I mean? And
Evidently, Myers has all these rules. Like anybody that works for him cannot look him in the eye. And he had a security guy, a bodyguard, who once said something to him and looked him in the eye and got fired for looking him in the eye. That's some weird shit.
I wonder is that true? Or is it just like an urban legend, like the only green M&Ms in the bowl kind of shit?
I don't know.
Because I think some of that, I mean, some of it might be true, but some of it might be just like somebody making shit up too. Or it might be like an urban legend. I don't know. I don't know.
I heard he's like insufferable, but
He might be. Some comedians are. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I think the same thing with Ellen DeGeneres. That I think if you look her in the eye, she fires you.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being so up my own ass that like that would be a thing.
That can only be one thing, is that you're ashamed of who you are.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
You feel that you're a fraud. You don't want people searching
And you don't
your
want
soul,
people, yeah,
looking
maybe,
at
yeah.
it.
That's probably what
That's
it
the
is.
only-
Yeah, it might. So it might not be like so much assholishness as like
Insecurity.
profound insecurity.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because a lot of celebrities are much ado about nothing, really. They're just regular people.
I mean, yeah, and a lot of them might have like imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you're not.
I've detected a little bit of imposter syndrome in Eddie Murphy. I'm a fucking huge fan of Eddie Murphy, but I've seen his eyes and his face when other people are talking about his work, and he's kind of a little bit insecure about his work. Because you go back and look at his old work in the 80s, that's not really that funny by today's standards. Everybody does that now. Like, you go back and watch Delirious, it's not that funny. But it was funny in his time.
Yeah.
And humor always ages out.
It does, yeah.
And I
That's
think
just
that
kind of the nature
bothers
of it.
him a little bit, that his humor aged out. But, Eddie, if you listening, no, your shit's still good, man. Fucking Dolomite. Dolomite Is My Name is a fucking masterpiece, man.
I love that fucking movie.
That's a fucking great movie.
So good.
And Coming to America 2, fucking great. You know, you still got it. It's just that some of the older shit's aged out. That's how it is. That's how it is. Went back and watched 48 Hours. It's not as good as it was.
Although Beverly Hills Cop is
Beverly Hills Cop still
awesome.
fucking, yeah. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 held up. 3 wasn't good when it came out. 4 is good. Very good.
Yeah, I liked 4 better than 3, that's for sure.
Yeah, much better than 3.
Yeah. Papa says, how about Eric Stoltz playing Marty McFly till they got Michael J. Fox? Yeah, that's right. I'd forgotten all about that. He was even in some of the... They shot some scenes with him, didn't they? Mm-hmm. But then I think after a while they were like, nah, it's not good. And I like Eric Stoltz. He was good in Some Kind of Wonderful. He was in Mask with Cher. Like, he played Rocky Dennis, the guy with the facial...
Fox nailed that character, Marty McFly.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's hard to think of anybody else. I mean, he nailed that so hard that it's just, there's no way that anybody... It's just hard to imagine anyone else in that role.
If you guys haven't seen Frighteners, I recommend that. It's one of my favorite movies, Michael J. Fox. And he plays a Marty McFly type character, but on the dark side.
But seedy.
Kind of a seedy. He's a fucking parasite, a fake parapsychologist, but he can see ghosts.
And it's Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson directed it.
Yeah. Very good.
So
it has a very good all-American feel to it. It's a good horror comedy.
Grampler says, didn't Nicolas Cage make a Superman movie that never saw the light of day?
Yeah, they were working on it. They were working on it. They didn't finish it.
Well, that happens a lot.
Yeah, they were working on it. It was Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Tim Burton was making it, but I don't think it would have worked.
I mean, it's hard to say. I don't think it would have either, but you never know. It
was too fucking crazy.
Because sometimes I hear somebody talking about an idea, like, for a movie, and they're like, hey, we're making this movie where X, Y, Z, and I'm like, that sounds stupid as fuck. But then, like, when you see it, you're like, hey, they did it. You know what I mean? You never know. But then sometimes you see it, and you're like, yep, I was right, that's stupid as fuck. So you never know, is what I'm saying. If you get somebody that's competent and knows what they're doing, like I said, you can make a movie about anything.
The photographs of some of the stuff look pretty cool. Like his Superman costume was different, and he had long hair. Nicolas Cage had long hair.
Yeah, that's right. I saw those pictures.
I don't think it would have worked. It's not Superman, but no, it wouldn't have worked. I think they did.
I still would have wanted to see it though.
Yeah. I think it would have bombed though.
I'll watch pretty much anything with Nicolas Cage in it.
Chris Reeves.
He's delightful.
Christopher Reeves cast the mold for what Superman's supposed to be. And he did that on the back of the guys that came before him. The new dude that they have now, I don't think he doesn't have the character. Chris Reeves had personality.
And he was just such a Boy Scout. Yeah. And that totally worked.
Yeah.
Like, for the character.
Superman does not work unless he's a virgin. Superman's a fucking virgin.
He has to be like a virginal.
He's a virginal.
Super morally upright.
Exactly. He's a Boy Scout.
Although I did like the cartoon where he grew up in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. Because if you actually...
Red Sun. That was really good.
Yeah, Red Sun was great. The communist Superman.
That animated
one. Very good to see it.
Animated, I said.
Very good. Very good. Fucking, Kal-El, Jor-El is God. This is a Jewish story. The guy who wrote it. This is the Son of God come down to earth as a savior. All right. It's Jesus rebooted. All right. He's a God. He's literally a God from the heavens, which is outer space, and that's what they meant back in the Bible. Outer space, beyond the fundament, beyond the stars. You know. They were talking about aliens, which I consider Prometheus and everything. That movie. Those were good too. Wish they would have kept that. But anyway, Superman is basically a god. He's got to be like a virgin. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's so morally pure that he's not human. Because he isn't human.
Yeah.
He's an alien. He's an angel, basically.
Yeah.
He's an archon.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why he works so well.
That's why
character.
that works. Yeah.
You can't have Superman can't be too sexy.
Mm-mm. He's sexy, but he can't actually have sex with you.
Yeah.
That would be compromising his power.
Although he totally had sex.
Because
with Lois Lane.
it's
Come
too
on.
much superiority. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. He's too superior. It'd be like having sex with a child. He can't come down to your level. That's what that.
Also,
that's
he
what
might
that-
blow your pussy out.
blow your pussy out.
You know, poor Lois Lane.
Yeah, poor Lois Lane.
It's like he blew a hole through my whole fucking
But
body.
here's the thing. Look, Donner, who did the first one, and he didn't do the second one, but he did the Donner. There's a Donner cut that's out there. He had it right. He played it straight, but he also played it for what it was. It was a comic book hero, and he's a god. He's an archon. That's who Superman is. He's not going to have fucking human lusts.
Yeah.
He has them, but he resists them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Florence says, I love Toy Story, but growing up, I always preferred Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 was actually really good. Took everything I loved in the original and made it better somehow. I mean, that's just a great... Those are just such great characters, and that was just such a great premise. And it really worked. I mean, even the fourth one was good, I thought. Let me see. Florence says, would you guys believe me if there are dudes who actually are down bad for the green M&M? I mean... it takes all kinds. I'm sure there's like a whole green M&M porn forum. I'm sure there's like a whole like all the M&M character gangbang porn out there. Well, that reminds me, the story, I don't know if this really happened, but this is an urban legend that's possibly true. So back in the day when Walt Disney was still alive, evidently for his birthday, it might have been his birthday, a couple of the animators thought it would be funny to make a little porn cartoon of Mickey and Minnie fucking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they showed it to Walt Disney. He kind of chuckles at it. And then he's like, who made this?
Yeah.
And it's like the two guys are like, hey, we did it. And he's like, y'all are fired. I don't know if it's true or not. But that's like a story, like, because a lot of the Disney animators, there are stories, I don't know how true they are, but a lot of them, like, on their off time will make little porn clips, or they would back in the old days, little porn clips of like the characters.
Just
fucking.
Of course they would.
Of course they would. I mean, why wouldn't they? It's just kind of something that they would
Yeah,
probably...
we're gonna put them sexy ass legs to work.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although, I don't know.
Pluto jumps up and he's getting it.
Yeah, I wonder if we had it so it's... Although that's kind of like... That's still interspecies, isn't it? Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a dog fucking a big mouse.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. And then if Goofy gets involved, so it's like a sentient talking dog and a regular dog.
Yeah, Goofy had a dog. And he was a dog too.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. A dog had a dog.
If a dog had a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Because Goofy could talk and Pluto couldn't.
Yeah, he could talk and walk around and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then Pluto was just like a regular dog.
Goofy, he walked around bipedally.
Yeah. And had a job and shit.
Yeah, he had a vest and a hat.
A vest and a hat. And Pluto was just naked, like a dog.
Yeah, walking around on all fours.
Although Donald Duck didn't have any pants on either, so you know what I mean.
Yeah. He was asking for it.
Donald Duck was asking for it because he just walked around with no pants on.
Yeah,
He just had a shirt, but no.
Yeah.
He couldn't find any pants that would go over his little foofy tail. That's all it was. Gramther says Gramther can't find his VHS tape of his high school play with Tom, but as soon as he does,
there, yeah.
it's getting digitized and posted on YouTube.
Which play?
I would love to fucking see that.
I think I have them.
I would love to
I think
see
I have them on VHS.
Where? You never told me
Stuff
that.
around here somewhere.
Not we don't have a VHS player.
I got fucking slides of Marilyn Rice Cup at my birthday party.
Really?
Yeah.
We don't have a slide projector either.
I got the slides though.
We could look at him like that.
Yeah. You can project him up. You project him up.
You could project him with a.
And then take a picture of it with your phone.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Florence says back in the mid '80s, when Canon Films was trying to make a Spider-Man film, and Tobe Hooper was attached to direct. A stunt actor named Scott Leva was attached to play Spider-Man / Peter Parker, and there's quite a few pictures of him in the suit too, and he looks great. Yeah, I guess that never got done. I would have liked to seen a Tobe Hooper Spider-Man. Although I kind of feel like a lot of the comic book movies, other than Superman and a few other exceptions, they didn't really figure out how to do comic book movies until much later. You know? Most of the ones that came out like in the 80s and 90s were just bad. Like, they didn't really take the material all that seriously.
It's for kids. They were just trying to turn it out.
Yeah, so they were just like Goofy or Dumb, or they're just like, whatever. It
Yeah,
doesn't
the
have to be
idea
good.
of a MCU-style blockbuster that didn't exist back then.
Yeah. American Military just brought up The Day the Clown Cried. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Although when Superman, the movie came out, that was a huge hit. And people were like, yeah, you can make a lot of money with a Superman, with a superhero movie. But, man, the script's got to be there. The costuming. Because even in the 90s, they came out with a Fantastic Four that fucking... I think it got shelved before they let it out.
I've seen clips of it. It looks terrible.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that they tried to do.
Yeah, they tried to do shit back then.
Yeah.
It just didn't really work out.
It doesn't work well when it gets on the screen.
No.
Surprisingly, the Ninja Turtles worked out pretty good when they got onto the screen.
Yeah,
That's
isn't that
comic book.
interesting?
And that did well. But I think it's because it was a younger audience.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of action figures and like fucking merch to sell along with that.
Oh, Gramther says it's Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Please, if you find that, because I want to see it.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about his dramatic escapades.
It looks like
but
shit
I've
by
never
today's,
seen
it look like
anything.
shit by today's standards because
I'll still watch
they
it.
filmed that shit with a fucking
Little baby
old
Tom.
VHS camera.
Aw. Florence says The Crow was also great for a 90s superhero movie. Yeah. Although that had like a darker tone. I guess he's kind of a superhero.
People forget about Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn was a good movie.
That was alright.
I liked it.
What was the one that had Dolph Lundgren in it? That wasn't good.
No. That was The Punisher, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was in
Didn't
The
he do The
Punisher, but I
Punisher?
thought he was in another one. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
There was a movie he was in that I want to see it again, but it's hard to find. It's called Red Scorpion.
I remember that. Is that hard to find nowadays?
It's hard. It's expensive. It's like $50.
It used to be on
To buy
cable
that.
all the time. I feel like.
It's like the Soviet Rambo. Communist Rambo.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I even saw it back in the day. Because wasn't it on cable a lot?
Yeah, I saw it. I remember it being shit, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again, just for the laugh factor.
Maybe it's
And
on YouTube.
I wouldn't mind seeing fucking like Red Sonja.
I remember that one too. I
Yeah,
saw that one a
it
couple
had
of
Arnold
times.
in it. Yeah, but they want a lot of money for it. They're trying to bring back Red Sonja,
Yeah.
but modern Hollywood has to change.
I remember that movie not being that good.
What's that?
The original Red Sonja.
Yeah.
I didn't like it as much as Conan.
It's got to be like the thing is that if you're going to bring Red Sonja to the screen, you got to do it just like the comic books. She's got to be dressed in that fucking chainmail bikini with that long red hair and fucking that sword, and you're going to have to get a fucking bombshell to do that. And nowadays they would say that that's fucking male gaze, toxic masculinity, or whatever. But that's what that character was. Just like if you're gonna bring back Vampirella, she better be a fucking bombshell, and she's gonna be in that tiny little fucking outfit. You could do it. That outfit could just be painted on latex, because that's what it would have to be to stay on during those action scenes. Paint some latex onto that chick.
Yeah.
and she's gonna have to fucking be very athletic and probably implants. So who do you find in Hollywood that has that? You know what I mean? I don't think you could find one.
I'm sure you could find somebody.
But those two characters, and people say, "Well, they shouldn't do that." They did it with Conan. They got Arnold. Arnold looks just like a Frank Frazetta Conan. Every bit of it. So if you're going to bring those things to the screen, where that character is all about physicality, you can't fuck around. Those actors have to look like that. Or the credibility isn't there.
Florence says, Matilda Lutz looks good as Red Sonja, but I also saw leaked clips and it looks kind of rough, like bad 2010s era CGI rough.
I haven't seen it.
I mean, unless that was just like a rough cut and they're not done with it yet. I'm not real sure. American Military said there's a cringy still from The Day the Clown Cried, that Jerry Lewis movie I was talking about, where Jerry Lewis is staring cross-eyed with his nostril hooked on a barbed wire fence. See what I mean? It just seemed like...
Maybe the tone wasn't right.
That's what they were saying. It's just kind of like, look, you could make a movie with this plot and it could work.
Yeah.
But this is not that. You know what I mean? You didn't come at it the right way, I think. CB says Emilia Clarke is gorgeous and could pull off Red Sonja.
Yeah.
And Tammy says they need to get a no-name new actor. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
They're talking about Hugo said he liked both Conans, but he didn't like the Momoa Conan. Yeah, the Momoa Conan was the script. He could have done it.
Yeah, I mean,
it was just a script.
I like Jason Momoa.
I used to fucking hate Conan too, because it was such a letdown because it wasn't a John Milius flick. He was going to do fucking three of those things. Going to be like Star Wars. But when you look at Conan 2, that's basically what Marvel Conan was. It's real close. The thing is that the fucking boss fights suck.
Yeah.
If they could go back and fix those boss fights, it would...
Yeah, they just look real cheap.
They just look cheap, yeah.
Like, the villains look real cheap, and it just seems like too easy.
Yeah.
Gramther says, best lost media ever, the Star Wars Christmas special from 1977. Aired on TV once, that was it. Yeah. Cringe level 10. Although, is that hard to get hold of nowadays? Because I've seen it, so it can't be that difficult to get hold of. It is very cringy. I don't know I know they, like, threw it together at the last minute. You know what I mean? And they didn't really think about it too hard. So, and it shows. And that's the thing. Back in the 70s, and I was alive in the 70s, so I remember, you could get away with a lot shittier entertainment because, you know, you didn't have as much choice as nowadays. You know, now people are, like, super, super picky. Like, if something comes out and, like, one tiny thing is wrong, they have, like, a big fucking fit about it. But it's like, back then, it was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, something had to be really egregiously bad, like, for people to complain about it. So the fact that people really complained about that, as much as everyone was super into Star Wars, I think that's indicative of, like, how fucking terrible it was. But it was just, like I said, it was just so half-assed. They could have done something with, even with the same plot, kind of. They could have done something with that, but they just couldn't be bothered. And they thought, well, it's just a bunch of kids, who cares? You know what I mean? They don't need to see anything good. They'll watch anything. Idiots. I kind of feel like that was the attitude, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I have seen it. So I don't know. I guess that's not... I guess it was lost for a while, but I guess it's not lost anymore. Like, in the sense that I'm pretty sure you can see it now if you want to. Somebody mentioned this earlier, and I actually didn't realize this, but a lot of Doctor Who episodes from the early years are gone. From 1963 to 1969.
Oh, those, yeah.
The black and white ones, like the first two Doctors,
yeah.
William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're gone.
Because back then, as I mentioned earlier, you know, it was the BBC.
Yeah.
They were like, there was no mechanism to, like, sell tapes of anything, so it's like, we're just going to show the show, and it's over, and we're not going to rerun it, so it's just like, we'll just tape over it. Like,
they probably weren't that good.
Saving tapes. Yeah, I mean, they might not have been, but people that are, like, really into Doctor Who were like, what?
They would want to know.
So, as many as 97 episodes from the first two Doctors are mostly missing. Which is crazy. I didn't even realize that. I knew it had been on a long time, but I didn't realize that many of them were gone. Like, they did find some of the missing episodes in various other, like, in other countries, like people that had happened to tape it or something like that. Like, they have, like, kind of scraped together a few of them, and I think there was, like, some behind the scenes photos, some scripts, like some audio, stuff like that. But I think most of those 97 episodes are gone. So unless somebody recorded it, not likely, back in the 60s, because who the fuck had...
No, not back in the 60s.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had the...
They're gone.
So they're probably gone. Yeah. But people are still kind of looking for them.
At least they got Tom Baker. They got Tom Baker stuff.
Yeah.
Which that to me, that's classic shit.
Yeah.
Now, what I would like to see, and it's a recipe for disaster, is to redo a Dino De Laurentiis style Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Even though he actually did very good, he did very well with the original source material. It's very close. A lot of the shit that's in that movie, that's the kind of shit that was in the original Flash Gordon series. But with today's CG, you could do that right. It'd have to be super colorful and psychedelic. It'd have to look... When I was watching fucking Aquaman, the new Aquaman series, I was like, this is fucking great, the way this looks. This is how Flash Gordon should look, except it should be red instead of green.
Yeah, if they did it like kind of over the top,
over
like
the
that.
fucking top. Because there was no outer space in Flash Gordon. It was just endless purple sky once you were off of a planet. And it was kind of like a sea, clouds everywhere and shit. And it was like, this is how you do Flash Gordon. And you have the Hawkmen and everything, except you have CG wings. You could have that looking really good, and then you could filter it to make it look a little bit like a comic book. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like they did with 300.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd watch that.
That way it wouldn't be realistic. It would just be something you drop acid to. And all the same elements that were there, the sex, the drugs, everything.
Yeah, I think that'd be super cool.
Because that wasn't a Dino De Laurentiis thing. You go back to the originals. Yeah, they're slipping people Mickeys. They're trying to get laid.
Yeah,
they're
the original serials from the 30s.
Yeah,
are pretty smutty.
They're smutty
for the 30s.
Half naked fucking Princess Aura running around,
people drugging people,
getting in fights over Dale to try to fucking get their hands on fucking Flash and shit. Yeah, the only thing they changed is that the original Flash was a polo player.
Yeah.
Not a football player.
But I mean, you know, nowadays in America it'd be like what the fuck is polo?
Yeah. Polo?
Yeah. Isn't that like a shirt you wear with a little alligator on it?
Right. But I would do a lot of the De Laurentiis fucking, even the costumes with the Imperial soldiers and the fucking samurai suits and the fucking... I'd do all that. But I'd make it look even better.
I think that would be cool.
I think it would be really cool, yeah.
And if you did it right, I think it would probably be really successful.
Yeah.
I don't know, depending.
There was a German actor, we saw him in a movie, and I fucking sent him a message that said, you would make a great fucking Flash Gordon.
That's right, yeah.
He thanked me. Who was it? He played a villain in another movie.
I'd have to go back and look. It was one of the movies we reviewed.
Yeah, he's a blonde German guy who's like a fucking...
we saw him in like some indie movie or something.
Yeah, he was in an indie movie. I fucking hit him up and says, dude, you are perfect to do a fucking Flash Gordon.
Yeah, and he said that while he was watching the movie.
Yeah, he thanked me. He says, oh, thank you very much. He's an acrobat and fucking works out. He's jacked. But he was not a bodybuilder type guy. More like a CrossFit type guy. But fucking top heavy.
Yeah.
He'd have been fucking great in that movie. Because Flash is supposed to be good with a sword too. A good fencer. Riding horses, that kind of shit. An all-around gymnast. That's what he was. He was a gymnast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's a German gymnast.
Because there was something to do with that in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, yeah.
He was, I don't know if he was a gymnast
a serial
in the movie.
killer.
Yeah, something like that. I have to go back and remember. I can't remember what movie it was that we saw him in. But, man, that was another Halloween costume I wanted to do. General Kala. That was another
Kala.
one. That one and the chick from Dagon.
Yeah.
And,
the Dagon chick would be hard to do, though.
Well, I know. Or Jennifer Lopez from The Cell. I would still want to do that one of these days.
You could do.
I picked out all the stuff. Like, I just didn't have the money to get it.
Jennifer J-Lo from The Cell.
That's what I was going to do last year, but I didn't.
And I could do fucking Clytus. But you have to fucking do I had to get the mask and the robe. And
he always looked like Destro from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I know that was
they
was
said
before
they
G.I.
wanted
Joe.
somebody who was kind of like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So they came up with that character. And I don't remember the British actor. That same British actor was in. He was in a bunch of shit. I think he was in some of the Sinbad movies.
Yeah,
he had a really cool voice.
Yeah.
And he was actually about my height. He wasn't a big guy, but he had the fucking solid metal fake arm. I think I would change that a little bit in my costume and make it a bionic or a cybernetic arm, so I could move it and drink.
Yeah. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Hugo said, I don't know if you mentioned the Golem. There were 3 movies, and we only have the 3rd one, so I heard. Yeah, I don't remember if it was... Okay. They might... I think they only have pieces of the first one. This is a silent film from... I don't remember what year it came out. But then they made a second one that I think was like a comedy, or like a horror comedy. And then I don't remember what the 3rd one was about. But I don't remember... I know that like only part of one of them survives. Unfortunately. I think I mentioned that maybe on my History of Horror Movies video that I made. CB said Tom would make a fantastic Batman villain.
Yeah, or a Star Trek villain.
Yeah. Yeah, you totally did. Yeah, CB said Dad's Army is the same. The something from the lost episodes are all that still exist because the film was used and shit got taped over. Yeah, it's funny now because now... people are like, oh, it's all like cultural artifacts. We need to save it. But it's like back then they were just like, whatever. Just tape over it. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy to think about now, like I said, because we I think we're a lot more, I don't know if I want to say we're more media savvy, but it's like we understand that, a lot of this creative shit, like you need to preserve it, right? But I think back then they didn't really care that much about it. They said it was just some crap they're putting on TV. Like, they didn't really care if anybody... They're like, no one's ever going to want to see this again. It's like, why should we keep it? So, it's kind of hilarious, like, when you think about it now. It's like, now in 2025, people are like, why isn't there, like, a box set of this random obscure show from, like, the 1960s? Why can't I find that? You know what I mean? And, like, I would pay good money. But they didn't know that back then. So, all right. So, now I kind of want to get into... a little bit some of the darker shit. Now, I know that there's kind of a lot of lost media from various serial killers, from various things like that. I don't want to get too much into much of that because, 1, some of the stuff we've already done shows about, and 2, some of them probably need their own show. Like, remember, because, okay, for example, remember other day I mentioned Grizzly Man. The guy, what was his name? Timothy Treadwell. And how him and his girlfriend he was like the bear guy, and him and his girlfriend got eaten by the bear. Yeah. And,
recorded alive.
Well, her camera was on,
yeah.
But there's not video of it because the camera, the lens cap was still on, obviously, because she didn't take it off. But there's audio of it. And Werner Herzog, when he made the documentary, there's footage of him listening to the audio. And he tells the woman, who I think was Timothy Treadwell's ex-girlfriend, she's the one that has it, and he told her to destroy it. Yeah. And I don't think she did. I think she kept it, but he's like, nobody should listen to this. Right. And it's like, I really have no desire to hear that. But he listened to it, evidently, like, for the documentary. And he said it was horrible.
Werner Herzog?
Yeah, because he made the documentary, Grizzly Man, about him.
He was great in the Mandalorian series before they fucked the Mandalorian up.
Who was?
Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog is a director.
He was in that Mandalorian series.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Do you remember?
That's right, I forgot he was in that, for a second. But yeah, so that's kind of lost media. Like, they know it's out there, but, but I did mention it. And then there's stuff like, the 18 minutes missing from the Watergate tapes, the Columbine shooters, like the basement tapes, quote unquote, that's what they call it. They made like 3 or 4 hours of tapes in the weeks leading up to the shooting. We've already done a show about Columbine, and I think we talked about that on there. The Moores Murders tapes, which was mostly audio of one of their victims, Leslie Ann Downey. Horrifyingly, they heard it at court. And but we've done a show about the Moores Murders too, so I didn't want to get too much into that. There's also obviously footage of the death of Brandon Lee because he died on set, obviously, like during a take for The Crow. And then there are also tapes of, this isn't quite as macabre because this guy survived, but remember the guy Aaron Ralston, the guy that they made 127 Hours about? That he got like his arm trapped under a rock or something, and then he was there for a couple days and eventually had to cut his own arm off, like to escape so he wouldn't die. So he made a bunch of tapes for his family when he thought he was going to die. And so those are floating around out there somewhere. But, as far as I know, no one's seen them. And there are also tapes of the Armin Meiwes, when he got he called up the consensual guy to eat him, and there's obviously tape of that whole episode. But we've done a show about Armin Maivis as well, so I didn't want to get too much into that.
He had an audio tape of it?
No, it's video.
He videotaped himself eating that dude?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
The whole thing.
Wow.
The whole
Just in case the
thing.
cops were to come after him, he'd have proof.
I guess he wanted to watch it later
Yeah.
and jerk it,
Yeah, weird.
because dude was messed up.
And then he said it wasn't all that good.
Yeah, didn't
the
he
weird shit?
didn't he eat the dude's well, they both ate the dude's penis,
Yeah,
didn't they?
Yeah, they ate both. They shared.
And they
dude shared
overcooked
his
it.
dick with him, and they were like, "That's not that good," and they threw it away.
Or they gave it to the dog or something. And I'm just kind of like, I hate to laugh at that. It's like, that's fucking horrible. But yeah, there's a
Crazy motherfucker, boy.
yeah,
He
a
meant
little,
it. He meant it.
a little.
He wanted to be eaten.
Well, yeah, and we talked about this when we did the show about him.
Yeah.
Is that the German courts didn't really know what to do, because the dude, they're like, well,
He definitely wants.
he
to be
wanted to be eaten though.
Yeah.
It's like there's whole conversations about it. Like he went there, he knew what was going to happen.
In American law, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
In American law, just the intentional killing of another human being is murder.
It's still murder.
Even if they want.
Like even if they wanted them to do it.
Right.
But so that's the thing. Well, didn't he? I think he did serve some prison time anyway, because they weren't really sure. They're like, wow, we've never really run into this situation before.
Right.
You know, understandably.
It was a freak.
Yeah, a freak and another freak. But like I said,
Two freaks in their own freak incident. Europe, man.
like I said, it's
Y'all got problems.
everywhere's got problems.
Yeah.
We can't really like
Oh no,
we can't really cast aspersions. Honestly.
That was some consensual shit.
But
man.
honestly,
I'm like,
well,
what
all the weird sex shit, why does it always come from Germany? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Germans are fucking up. To
Not
it, man.
always. Not always. Like, I've seen freaky sex shit from all different countries.
Yeah.
But for some reason, a lot of it is from Germany. I'm not really sure why.
They're uptight. So to be subversive, you're gonna have to go fuck. You're gonna have to go.
You're gonna
all
have to
in.
go like
You're gonna-
way
yeah,
like
yeah,
180
yeah.
in the other direction.
Yeah, they would never make it here in the 70s in the United States when those motherfuckers didn't give a shit. You couldn't be subversive back in the 70s. Everything was all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, remember how it was in the 70s?
Yeah, I remember.
We talked before.
it was very freewheeling.
Even on TV, it was like, yeah, Blue Lagoon. I mean, that shit happened.
John Gora says the last horror movie with Caroline Munro is a very charming movie. Co-stars with Joe Spinell. We just watched that not
What's
too
it
long
called?
ago. The last horror movie.
I
The
never
last
seen it.
horror movie.
I never
Yeah,
seen
we
it.
just watched it. Probably like 3 or 4 months ago.
Really?
I don't think we reviewed it though. I think I just came across it on Amazon Prime or Shudder or
What's up,
something
Pookie Pants?
and watched it. Gramther says some of those lost crime tapes will give viewers PTSD. Yeah, I can imagine. Gramther saw things in his 27 years as a cop, which still haunt. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
John Gore says
Man,
my
if you guys don't know who that is, me and Gramps went to high school together.
yeah.
We were in the same drama program in high school.
Yeah. John Gore says my favorite ugly actor is Reggie Nalder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was he was great as Barlow.
Yeah.
He was in a couple episodes of Thriller as well. He always played like real shady, sketchy kind of characters, you know. Man, I gotta pee.
Yeah,
Hey,
go ahead.
Pookie.
What the fuck? You leave, so she jumps off. And
She's
follow-
like,
she's
"Oh,
following
what
you.
happened?"
No, now she stopped. She's like, well, she's not going anywhere.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. She's getting ready to jump off because she thought something bad was going to happen. Yeah, me and Grandpa's went to high school together in Trenton High School, downriver in Michigan. Yeah, Trenton, Michigan. I did 2 years there, and then I did another 2 years in São Paulo, Brazil. Escola Graduada de São Paulo, which is an international high school. So I didn't graduate from Trenton, Michigan. I graduated up in Brazil. Just barely, because they wouldn't fucking take my credits. A lot of my credits. Because that was an IB school, International Baccalaureate. But, yeah, me and Grandpas were in the drama program together with our teacher was called, her name was Julia Salisbury. She was something else, man. And my best friend was Steve Rouse. Grandpas knows him. We did all kinds of fucking crazy shit, man. Me and Steve were getting a lot of the leads. Steve was always getting lead roles. That bitch could fucking sing. He fucking could play bass, played metal music, sing, act, and he ended up getting a degree in biochemistry, University of Michigan. He became a genetic scientist. He was on that Human Genome Project. So, all my friends are fucking super intelligent. Got a super intelligent wife, and then our friend fucking, she's a fucking nuclear physicist. She's been on the show before, Anastasia. So I feel dumb surrounded around all these fucking geniuses.
You're no slouch yourself, Tom.
I'm a genius of human engineering.
Yeah.
I got good street smarts.
Yeah. There's different kinds of intelligence. I have the nerdy, useless kind of
No, it's very useful.
No. I mean...
It's very useful.
I know, I'm being self-deprecating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can figure shit out.
Yeah.
And I think that's... I would say that's probably my greatest strength, is that because I grew up kind of a little bit of a loner, because I was kind of introverted, so I hated to ask other people for help. So if I wanted to know how to do something, I would just teach myself how to do it. And I still do that. And I think that's a good, it served me well for a long time. Plus, I don't have the patience, to wait for other people to, tell me how to do shit. I was like, never mind, I'll just figure it out.
How much more cases do we have?
A lot.
11?
Why?
Okay, good.
Yeah. A lot.
It's coming up on 11. Or 10. Coming up on 10.
Yeah, I was like, it's not that
Yeah.
way. We're just getting into the creepy shit.
Just getting into good shit? Right.
We're getting into the creepy shit.
All right.
Yeah, Papa says, I'm a fountain of useless information. Same. I always said, man, I should go on Jeopardy one of these days, because every time me and my family used to watch Jeopardy all the time. They're like, you should go on that show. You know all of this useless shit. And I was like, yeah, I know. I don't know why. I guess, you know what? I guess it was because I just read a lot, and I read widely, and I just remembered a bunch of random facts for some reason. Like I said, most of it is completely useless information that I don't know why stuck in my head, but there we go. I never made millions of dollars on Jeopardy from it, though. I guess there's still time. I don't even know if Jeopardy's still on, to be honest. All right, so, okay, remember, so this one's kind of dark. We're easing into the dark shit. Now, we did a couple shows, actually, about, rock and roll mysteries, or, urban legends or whatever. For whatever reason, even though I feel like I have a pretty good knowledge of that kind of stuff, I had never heard of this, and I don't know how I didn't, because this is definitely something that I should have come across. So, have any of y'all, I'm sure some of y'all know about this, but have y'all heard of the Led Zeppelin quote-unquote mud shark incident? I saw this on, some lost media thing, because like I said, I went through all these different lists and just picked out some, what the fuck is that? I never heard of that. I just picked out stuff that I thought was interesting, and I had never heard of this before. So, this is apparently pretty infamous, even though I had never heard of it. So, this alleged incident, allegedly, happened in 1969. And it supposedly happened at the Edgewater Inn in Seattle, Washington. And this is a hotel where, people staying there could fish directly out of your windows, because it was right on a lake or something, or a bay or something. So like I said, this happened in 1969, but I kind of feel like it didn't really get a lot of traction until the mid-1980s, when that very famous book about Led Zeppelin, Hammer of the Gods, came out. And in that book, the band's road manager at the time, in 1969, Richard Cole, he says that him and John Bonham, they caught a bunch of fish from the window of the hotel room. And then there was this groupie, and he remembers her as this young girl that had red hair. And she either took her clothes off or they took her clothes off, and they tied her to the bed. And then the members of Led Zeppelin, and there were members of Vanilla Fudge with them too, because that band was opening for them on this tour, I think. They started stuffing pieces of shark into her vagina and into her butthole. That's how the story goes. And this is lost media because the singer of Vanilla Fudge, Mark Stein, allegedly, recorded the whole incident on his Super 8 camera. Now,
It was cooked or raw?
no, they just caught it.
So it was raw. Okay.
I'm like, all right.
And she's okay with this?
Well, see, that's where the controversy comes in, because the band manager said, he said, this is a quote, "It was nothing malicious or harmful." Okay. She
Well-
might have been hit by a shark a few times for disobeying orders. Like they hit her with the fish
Yeah.
for disobeying orders. I'm like, that sounds a little
They're
non-consensual.
doing some kiki BDSM.
But she didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, okay. So, okay, so I'm not really sure. Okay, and then this kind of got more because Frank Zappa and his band, The Mothers of Invention, were also staying at the hotel either at the same time or around the same time. And he heard about it, and they later wrote a song about it called The Mud Shark, like about the incident.
Yeah.
So it kind of got a lot more traction that way. So no one has ever, I mean, no one outside of them has ever seen this video that I know of. So I don't know if this really happened or not.
It probably happened.
But it's a pretty famous, evidently it's a pretty famous, like, rock and roll craziness kind of story.
Yeah.
It's like, who would even think of, like, hey, we just caught a shark out the window of our hotel room. Let's stuff it up this girl's badge.
Well,
Okay.
it was another time.
That's what I was always saying.
It was another time.
I've got an idea. Let's put this right in her butthole.
Rock stars in that era were kind of like fucking. They
I
were
mean,
the
drugs.
pinnacle of cool.
Drugs.
They drugs and fucking crazy shit and like if you were hanging out with rock stars back in those days and you made it, even though those dudes were fucking crazy motherfuckers. Nowadays it would be people up in big tech, fucking dudes that could write code, or fucking somebody who went viral online. All right, but back in those days it was rock stars. It doesn't fucking shock me one bit that there was some groupie who's a female who likes to hang out with rock stars and will do what she can to get to them. Okay. That doesn't surprise me one bit. That fucking BDSM style action.
Oh, that part didn't surprise me. It was just the fish pieces that seemed kind of random.
I think it was just it happened to be it was BDSM and there were some fish pieces. Okay.
It was kind of like that whole Tom Cruise fish fucker story that's
Yeah.
going around.
I'm sure it was consensual. They were probably laughing.
Yeah, I guess.
Probably. They were fucking crazy. And it was
can't
probably
imagine.
the wildest shit that the rock stars had seen. So they were talking about it, and they told that story. You know what I mean? They let that story roll.
Because when I first
Frank Zappa and everything, telling the story.
when I first read like just a little paragraph long thing of it, initially I was picturing them catching like a baby shark and stuffing the whole shark
Probably
into her
pieces.
vagina.
Yeah.
But the quote from the book says it was pieces of
of
it. Like into her asshole too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ew, like I'm like, it's not
They'll probably cut the fins off.
shocking so much as like one, random, and two, like, man, that would really stink.
And sharks have rough skin. It's like
They
sand.
do.
It's like sand.
That's what I mean. That would probably hurt. I would think. Because they have like that
You
sandpaper.
might be imagining it a lot more than what it really was, too. These might have been very small pieces, and it might have just been they were fucking around.
Yeah.
I think it probably did happen.
It has never occurred to me to stick a fish in my vagina. I mean, now it has, but it didn't
The
before.
rock star thing was to be outrageous and fucking
Yeah,
decadent.
it's just
and
like the
fucking
craziest thing they
off
could
the
think
fucking
of.
top.
Hey, we're catching fish, and this
Yeah.
woman is here tied to
We're
the
gonna
bed,
put-
so
Right.
let's put those two things together.
And there would definitely be some rock and roll groupie chick that would be like, yeah, put that shit in there. That's probably
Ew.
some shit like that. Probably some shit like that.
Says ribbed for her pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put it in the wrong way, it would just be,
Yeah.
man. Like
The
I said,
shit-
that'd be like putting the sandpaper fist up there.
The shit you had to do to be cool back in those days.
Right? It was hard.
Nowadays, you just post some graphics online. Back in those days,
It's much
you had
easier.
to put a fucking shark up your pussy. Okay.
Back
Yeah.
in my day,
Yeah, back in our days, you had to
put an entire fucking
shark
shark
up in your cooch.
in your cooch, like for anybody. Right in your squish mitten. High Desert says, I've never heard the Tom Cruise fish story. Oh, okay. So
Okay.
I had never heard it until I came across, like I said, we watched Wang a lot. And
Look, there's a channel called Wang. W-A-N-G.
No,
W-H-A-N-G.
That's his last name. His first
Apostrophe,
name's
it's his Wang.
Justin.
He's kind of like a Justin Wang. He's
Isn't he is he Korean? No.
Korean or Chinese. I don't know. Of American. He's like
He's
a
in
metal
a,
dude.
he's in a band, too, called Jinx.
Got long black hair part in the middle, and fucking got a mustache or goatee kind of like mine, and fucking
Super tat.
super tats, and like
And he's a big horror movie fan, too.
big horror movie fan, and he's friends with one of our regulars here that comes
DJ
on,
Maniac.
DJ
yeah.
Maniac.
Or he's met him, at least.
Yeah, they're up in New York too.
Yeah, because Wang lives in New York City.
Yeah, so he sent me pictures of him and Wang together. But it's a very good show.
He does
to
a lot
listen
of
to.
lost media stuff.
When I had to go drive to Mississippi and back after my dad was dying, I listened to Wang the whole way there and back. And fucking, he helped me kill the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
He has
very
a bunch of stuff.
funny shit, weird stories, internet stories, lost media, anything, all kinds of WWF stories.
Yeah, he does a lot of
WWE,
wrestling stuff.
A lot of wrestling shit.
Wrestling stuff, lost media, a lot of music, lost
Yeah.
video. He does a lot of video game stuff.
Yeah.
Just internet stuff. Gross internet stories.
Yeah.
I can't watch any of the poop stuff, but he does a lot of poop stuff and cum
Weird shit that
socks and
dudes were
cum
doing,
jars
you
and
know,
shit.
guys that were making cum buckets and shit.
Self-surgery. He did a whole video about that. Was pretty good.
People that ate their own feet.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's
they
the
ate
guy
it.
that ate his own feet.
Yeah, he made tacos out of it.
Yeah,
shit.
gave him and fed him to his friends.
Yeah.
I mean, the feet were getting... Well, weren't the feet getting amputated anyway?
Yeah, so they were going to eat them.
So they just like, why not? Free
It's
meat.
fucking wild shit. Justin Wang. W-H-A-N-G apostrophe on YouTube.
Not apostrophe, exclamation point.
Exclamation point on
Yeah.
YouTube. I'm fucking drunk.
Yeah.
Uh,
I am too, but but I'm a grammar Nazi.
she's a grammar Nazi, yeah.
So. I'm just like,
Like
so,
on YouTube.
so I have to correct everything.
Great channel, great channel.
So let me give you a brief rundown of the... I came across a Wang video called Tom Cruise... It was called Tom Cruise Fish Fucker or something like that. And I was like, what? Okay, I gotta watch that. I haven't heard that story. So apparently there's an urban legend going around about a celebrity which they've never been publicly named, but just from context clues and stuff like that, people have surmised that it is Tom Cruise. And several people in different cities around the world where Tom Cruise has been filming movies have, allegedly, said that they have seen Tom Cruise go into a grocery store with his bodyguards and entourage and whatnot, and go to the fish counter and buy a whole fish.
Large fish.
A large whole fish. It has to be whole, it can't be fillets. Yeah. And he doesn't want it wrapped. And then he takes the fish into the bathroom, and then a few minutes later, he comes out of the bathroom without the fish. And then he leaves. Yeah. And sometimes, later on, people will find the fish in the trash can in the bathroom. Yeah. So because of these stories that have been going around, like I said, I don't know if they're true or not.
They're not true.
But it's just like an urban legend. Because, yeah, it just seems like weird and random.
No.
So some people have decided that he has a fish fucker fetish, that he's going in there fucking the fish and then throwing it away and then leaving.
As a man who knows about sex, and a man who knows about fish,
we need a shirt with a cartoon of your face that says, "As a man who knows about sex." That would be super funny.
About fish, he's not fucking that fish. There's nothing on that fish that a man could fuck. You're not gonna fuck his mouth. The fucking teeth. If you've ever caught a fish, the teeth are like fucking. Yeah. It's either sandpaper.
I guess it would depend on the kind of fish. But...
And there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then like.
Maybe he just gets off
any
on
of the
like
other
the weirdness
orifices.
of it.
Even a small dude couldn't fit in that. So I'm just saying, no, it's bullshit. 100%. Tom, if
like,
you are
like
there,
he watches the shit.
I know we are in the Short Man Mafia together.
Tom's
but
trying to.
aside from that, I'm not gonna bullshit these people. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with the mafia. I'm just gonna tell them the truth. There ain't no way.
I don't know if I believe it either.
There ain't
but
no way you're fucking fish. No.
But it is kind of a weird story. Like, where did it come from? Like, you know, I mean, if I worked in a grocery store at a fish counter and somebody did that, I would totally think they were.
I'm gonna tell you what this happened. This came from the Oprah Winfrey show. And he jumped up on the couch and started acting in Scientology. They had to come up with a fucking wilder story.
Yeah.
You know what? Motherfucker fucks fishes.
Yeah.
He does? Oh, yeah, I saw him. He'd go to the fish counter, buy
he's a
fish,
fish fucker.
go to the bathroom, come back. No, didn't happen. Even Wang says it didn't happen.
It's a good story, though.
It's just a good story. It didn't happen.
Crampler says, Tom Cruise's ex-wives haven't said much other than he just got to be too much. I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't even know him, and he's already too much.
To marry Tom Cruise, you got to go run an entire gambit of interviews.
Yeah.
And you have to be an approved wife.
Not worth it.
And then I got a feeling that Tom Cruise does things systematically.
Yeah.
You're dealing
He's
with
probably exhausting.
You're dealing with the Tom Cruise system.
To be around.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I think he's a system.
He's not a person.
He's a system.
Yeah, I can't hang with people like that. Like, that would get on my last tit. Seriously, I would not. I couldn't, because I would feel like I couldn't relax around that person. Like, you could never relax around them.
I'm gonna tell you.
He seems like that.
I'm gonna tell you all something. Now you're just hearing this from me on this show here, okay? Don't let this go out too far. You see Tom Cruise? I could fix that. I could fucking fix that. No, I fucking, because I could speak his language.
My dad's got a whole bunch of tools. I could fix it.
I could fix it. No.
That was Spicoli, by the way.
No, with my background and everything, I can fix that. And fucking, if he gives me any shit, I'll beat his ass. I beat his ass. He's in pretty good shape, but, you know, I'm fucking 10 years younger than him, almost. So, you know, I beat his ass. And fucking, I got the military background. That Sea Org shit doesn't. And I got all the same skills, the shooting skills, the riding skills, and everything. He can fly aircraft. I'm gonna give him to that. He's a fucking great movie star. I'm an actor too, though. I can act. I can act like a fool if I want to. Also, I can do whatever I want to do. You know, but it doesn't impress me that much. I look at Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? Fucking, I respect him as an artist and an actor. And I just wonder if it's a man who needs help. I don't know. Maybe he needs a friend. Tom, if you need a friend, you reach out to me, bro. I'll listen to you. I want to know all of it. And me and you, we'll tackle that shit together as a team. All right. Fucking Miscavige, we'll fucking handle David Miscavige. I'll fuck that little bitch up. Okay. Fucking, I don't care about the cult. I'll run that cult. Me and you will run that cult. All right. Just call me.
As long as you give me some of the money.
No, we'll give you some money. We're going to have a whole org made to it. We're going to have a whole fucking secret base.
I don't care about the cult. I just want some of the money.
Tom and Jenny base. Yeah.
Won't be anything in it other than our shit. We'll just run around.
Just our shit.
Make it
have
look
all
fancy.
These chicks coming over with big ass titties. In a nightclub.
Yeah, Tom's got a whole fucking scenario. Mm-hmm. Seth says if you're fucking fish, you definitely need a friend. Yeah. I mean, you do.
He's not. Sess, what's up, baby?
High Desert said he might not be sticking his wang in it. He might just be rubbing it all over himself and his parts.
I don't believe it.
True. Yeah.
No.
He's rubbing the fish on his taint or something.
Y'all are projecting your perversions on that, man.
Well, it's just funny to think about. I don't think it's true.
Here. What's up? No,
I don't think it's true.
No, it's not.
I just think it's like so funny. Like, it's just such a random fucking story. Like, that's
true.
So weird.
It ain't true.
That, like, somebody would come up with that.
They just wanted to make a Tom Cruise story.
Yeah. Tammy said Tom will let Tom cry on his shoulder.
Yeah. I might feel love for that man. I might. I have to meet him, though. I have to see what it is I'm dealing with. You know, I'm just going to approach him as if I'm dealing with a higher ranking military officer. Okay. He may not be higher than me, but because I can play those games too. I can play all those games. Yeah. But no, I look at I just can't wait to see the new Mission Impossible.
It does look pretty good. I mean, the last one
looks very good.
It's not usually my kind of movie. I don't really like those big spectacle movies, but like that last one was like.
They're good. They're good. And that's another thing. Y'all can talk all the shit you want about Tom Cruise. Motherfucker's a movie star. And his movies actually command...
Well, he has more money than me. I'll say that.
People come to see the shit. Even Maverick, it was a Star Wars reboot, man. But it was good.
Pretty much, yeah.
It made a shit ton.
I couldn't believe how blatant they were about it, though.
Yeah.
It was still a good movie, but I was just
It
kind of
didn't
like,
go.
I was like, really?
It just impacted on the surface.
I was like, everybody knows where you got that from, you know?
Yeah,
right?
it's all right.
That's all right.
It's okay. How the effect? Maverick was better than Top Gun.
Well,
Top Gun was kinda
I didn't
cheesy.
even like Top Gun, honestly.
Top Gun was kind of cheesy, yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of Top Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cheesy. I didn't really like any of those big rah-rah, like, 80s movies like that.
Not much happens in Top Gun.
Nah. I thought I just saw SideQuest Hero.
SideQuest is in. What's up, man?
I think, but I thought I just saw it, but then the comment disappeared.
Yeah, SideQuest there. She said, hey.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
Oh, yeah, there she is. Okay. It disappeared for a second.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of groupies, not so much ones that have shark parts put in their vaginas. Marilyn Manson. So he supposedly well, actually I don't even think it's allegedly, because I think some people have seen this. He made a short film called Groupie, which is sort of lost. I don't know if someone has it. A couple people have seen it, but I don't think you can get it though. So he directed it in the mid-1990s. And supposedly, this is kind of like a mock snuff film. Or hopefully it's not a real snuff film. But maybe. And it's kind of like found footage, too. So, from people who have seen it, I think there was a dude at Rolling Stone that saw it. So, some of the stuff that's in it... So, Marilyn Manson and, like, the other dudes in the band, mostly Twiggy, like, they do... Like, it all takes place in this darkened hotel room. And there's this groupie, and she's clearly either very drunk or drugged. And she gets brought into the room, and then for however long, like, all the band members sort of verbally abuse her, humiliate her, simulate sexual assault or really sexually assault her, beat up on her, shit like that. There are also supposedly scenes of animal mutilation or stuff with like meat or bones in it, which maybe is staged. No one's entirely sure. And there are some scenes in it that seem to be torture, although it could be staged again. Marilyn Manson has been asked about this, and he basically said he made it to quote-unquote test boundaries, but because after some people saw it and they weren't entirely sure if what was happening in it was real or not, so it was never able to be officially released. Manson's lawyers evidently saw it when he was editing it and said, nope, like, we're not showing anybody that.
He's a friend of a friend, by the way.
Yeah.
He's from Florida here, and he's a friend of Dimitri.
Yeah.
One of my best buddies here, who's a DJ. They were DJs together. He was a DJ too for a while, wasn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
How did he know him?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't remember?
No, I don't remember.
He just knew him as Brian.
Gramther says, Rachel Evan Wood testified in court that he, Marilyn Manson, he filmed having painful sex with her for one of his MTV videos, so not surprised he made some nasty smut. Yeah, the thing about it was that many years later, in, like, 2021, I think it was, like, a lot of his ex-girlfriends came out and, like, had all kinds of horrible allegations against him. So that made people kind of look even more askance at this movie that he made, that maybe the shit in it was real, like, maybe they did really drug this girl and do this shit to her. They asked Marilyn Manson, like, why didn't he release it? Like I said, I think his lawyer said, please don't release that or you're going to get your ass sued off. But he said in interviews when he was asked about it that he's like, oh, I didn't release it because it was too extreme even for me. There are a couple of clips and, like, stills online, I think, if you look around. But the full movie, as far as I know, has never been released. So yeah, I kind of feel like I said, in light of a lot of the allegations that came out about him later, I wouldn't be surprised if this shit was maybe not staged and he was trying to be like super edgy in the worst way possible.
His problem was drugs.
Well,
He would
many
just
other
get
problems.
high and fucking do crazy shit. He wasn't,
All I remember from
it wasn't anything fucking mystical or anything.
no, I didn't. Well, I didn't say it was.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
This just seemed like kind of not a snuff film because they didn't kill her, I don't think, but it was for sure what it looked like. At least was that they brought this girl in and she was drugged, and then they all like beat up on her and raped her and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, and then maybe there was animal mutilation. I'm not really sure. But like I said, that might have been staged. No one really knows.
His crowd, though, that might have been semi-consensual or consensual.
Well, like I said, there's no way.
know.
But the thing about it, like I said, is that all the allegations that came out after, like, there's no way of knowing. And of course, he's going to deny that really happened. You know what I mean?
That dude fucking lost his shit when he was on fucking that show After the Walking Dead. Remember that? Remember that fucking program? What was the name of the show that came on after The Walking Dead, where they would talk about
The Talking Dead.
The Talking Dead. He was a guest on The Talking Dead and just fucking made a fool out of himself. That was the end
He
of his
did,
career.
yeah, that was pretty funny.
The motherfucker just couldn't
I had
talk.
forgotten all about that.
His name is Brian Warnos. If I remember.
Warner.
According to Dimitri, our friend, said that he was cool fucking before he was famous, and he was an intelligent guy. And some of the early stuff that I saw of him, he was pretty well put together. Later on, he started to go a little bit sideways. Now, what was his name? Rose McGowan?
Yeah.
Rose McGowan said she lived with him for a while. I think she lived with him in New Orleans. I ran into him in New Orleans once at a club. That's another story. Him and he was with a guy from 9 Inch Nails. What's his name? What's the guy's name from 9 Inch Nails?
Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor. They tried to get into a private club one time. That's another story. But, fuck, I forgot where I was going with this shit. She said, Rose McGowan, said that his problem was drugs. Okay? And then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. And motherfucker's probably on kind of weird drugs. I saw him on the Howard Stern show a couple times. He was a decent guest on the Howard Stern show.
He used to be quite articulate, actually.
Yeah. And then he shows up on The Talking Dead, and that motherfucker's brain dead and not articulate at all, and he's just...
Yeah, I
What the
had
fuck?
forgotten all about that.
And the audience was laughing at him.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking dork. He fucked himself up, man.
Yeah.
And he has stayed high for so long that he's become irrelevant. Because he's not in the here or now. I think he's the motherfucker that's living in the past, actually. Now, which that's sad when you have that kind of money and that kind of power and influence and you have a big fan base and then you live in the past, and he looked like shit. Now I don't know if he's cleaned himself up since then, but
I don't know. I don't really like following him. Like I said, I was never really a fan.
yeah,
So Seth
there
says
wasn't much to him.
Seth says his ex-girlfriend, who is also the ex-girlfriend of Trent Reznor,
Yeah,
has come forward after Evan Rachel Wood to say she was the actress in Groupie and that it was all staged.
okay,
I mean, I hope that's true.
yeah, I would imagine it probably was.
But like I said, the only thing I remember, I think I saw one of the little documentary things or behind the scenes things of Marilyn Manson. I don't even remember how I saw it. Like maybe somebody loaned it to me. The only thing that I remember is one of them squatting and squeezing out a little turd, and then the other one picking it up with a fork and eating it.
Who did that?
I don't remember who it was. It was one of the band members.
That sounds like something off of fucking that Divine would do.
Yeah, that sounds
Out
like
of
something.
fucking
Well,
she
yeah,
dog shit.
yeah, yeah. She really did.
When I
in that
was-
John Waters movie.
When I was living in
I still can't watch that. It's gross as shit.
when I was living in past Christiane, I'd go to New Orleans all the time, down the French Quarter. We had a club there called the Convent, It was owned by a guy called, his name was Pierre. And it wasn't a legal club. It was like a speakeasy. It was his apartment, but he had it decked out like a club. It had a bar and everything. That's where I met Bridget, the girl that you heard me talking to, remember? The woman I was talking to over the thing?
Yeah.
I met her there. Bridget wants to come down and hang out with us.
Where's she live at? Still there?
She's in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Oh, my sister.
Remember that she was having her hip rebuilt
Yeah,
because
that's
she
right.
fucked her shit up.
My sister lives in Atlanta.
Yeah, she lives in Atlanta. But first time I saw Trent Reznor, he was in the club, and man, this is a goth club, an underground goth club that celebrities show up to. I met fucking Jerry Springer in the fucking club during a fetish event. You guys are great, man. If I could have a drink with Jerry Springer watching some dude fucking fuck his wife over on this fucking rack, you know what I mean? It was light BDSM stuff. No big deal. He comes into the club, he's wearing fucking Bermuda shorts. And kind of just a t-shirt, you know? He's not even dressed up. And he's at the club, he's at the bar. And people are like, that's Trent Reznor? Why is he dressed like that? You know? And nobody was really all that impressed because they weren't mainstays in the scene. They were like new guys showing up. And they were like normies, really, compared to us who have been in the scene for a long time. I remember being out on a balcony with a bunch of other people. And he left. And we were looking at a Ferrari that was parked on the other side of the street. This is fucking at Decatur Street and fucking, what was the name of the... I don't remember the name of this cross street. It was right off of Decatur, near where the Crystal is. He walks into that fucking Ferrari and starts it up. And as soon as he starts, the stereo comes on. Guess what starts blasting out of the fucking... Guess what starts blasting out of the fucking windows? Head Like a Hole. And we all start laughing. We're like, what the fuck? He listens to his own fucking music. And we just didn't think the dude was... That dude's a fucking poser. A couple months later, this is in a time when we got a shit ton of shit over fucking Marilyn Manson. We, being goth, man, people would drive by us in cars, throwing bottles at us, going, Marilyn Manson! Fucking just, we hated that fucker.
I remember those days.
Pierre, we had to ring the doorbell to get into the club. Pierre would go down the stairs and there was a fucking iron gate there. He'd open his door and there'd be an iron gate there and he'd see what it is. He turned away Marilyn Manson and fucking Trent Reznor. They were together. And they threw a fit at the fucking door.
Of course they did.
They threw a fucking fit. He turned him away. And he came back up and he goes, I just turned away Marilyn Manson, Trent Reznor, and fucking ran out that fucking balcony and looked down and saw him walking away. I was like, that bitch sure did. They were fucking pissed. But they weren't allowed in. They weren't allowed into the convent.
Not cool enough. Sorry.
We were getting too much shit over them.
Well, yeah.
But
I wouldn't let his stupid ass in either.
it was the 90s, you know. It was like 90 fucking 7, you know what I mean? Fucking. They were on the top of their fucking careers at that time, actually. But they were normies, man. Fucking, they joined into the scene. They weren't. And we were getting so much shit because of them. Not so much Trent Reznor, but Marilyn Manson. You know.
Yeah, I didn't actually mind Trent Reznor all that much.
No, he wasn't that bad.
9 Inch Nails is like pretty good, but like I don't know.
The thing is, though, is that Trent Reznor was a normie.
Yeah, it's
He
like
was
a lot of them
above.
didn't really come out of
No.
the
They weren't
scene.
from
It's
the
just
scene.
kind of like, you know.
It wouldn't have gone that way a couple years later, but it did at that time. Because later on, they'd have been a little bit more accepted. But at that time, they were chafing you as a goth. You know what I mean?
Gramter says, "Is there a difference between a normie and a mundane? I can't tell which
No,
one I
normies
am."
are mundanes.
Yeah, those terms are pretty interchangeable. Some of the more Harry Potter inclined call them muggles, but I never. That's a little too precious. I don't really get into that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I always just call them normies. I think I might have heard mundanes from Tom the first time. No, maybe I heard it before that. I don't know. Mostly people just call them normies. Yeah, I just said Reznor was a band kid. Yeah, he was. And he just does movie soundtracks now. Yeah, I mean, and I like his music. Like, he's really talented. So, I don't know. He doesn't piss me off nearly as much as Marilyn Manson did or does. I'm still like I like Nine Inch Nails. Like, I think I bought Pretty Hate Machine, but I don't think I bought anything after that. You know what I mean? Like, if they come on, I'm like, hey, yeah. But, you know, it's not any of my big go-tos or anything. All right, so let's get back on topic because I still have a few more things to talk about. So here's another weird-ass thing that I can't believe I never heard of this. So this is kind of like, it does exist. People have seen it, but they don't show it that often. Like, it's stuffed away somewhere. So this is a 1970 experimental film called Heartbeat in the Brain. Now, there is another movie called Heartbeat in the Brain that's not this one, so don't get them confused. This one was like a documentary-style art film that was made by a British artist named Amanda Fielding. She was also a scientist and interested in psychedelics and consciousness expanding, as many people were in 1970. So instead of just tripping balls like a normal person, she decided what she was going to do to expand her consciousness was self-trepanation.
Oh shit! Gonna cut a hole in her head.
And she decided to document this for posterity.
I remember this film. Yeah.
So she made a film in 1970 in which she drills into her own forehead.
Right in between her eyes.
With a dentist drill. And it takes a few hours. Like she does in real time. Like you can do this without dying. Like people did do it. Like, because she obviously didn't die. And, you know, sometimes they'll do, like, cut holes in your skull or something like that. Like, if your brain is swelling, like, to relieve swelling or something. But I think that she thought that she could achieve... I don't know if she did or not. That she could achieve higher states of consciousness.
She was going to let her third eye come out.
I guess. Or increasing the blood flow in her brain by cutting a hole in it.
Was she on LSD?
I don't think so. Really? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Because she was kind of really into that and still is. I think she might be still alive. Yeah. And she's still kind of into all this stuff.
Okay. So, let me talk about something, though. The self-trepanation, where they were cutting holes in their heads. A lot of that has been... In Europe, they did that to try to release spirits and shit. They thought they were crazy. Yeah. But in other places, like in Mesoamerica, they did that. But for a very different reason. They usually fought with certain kind of war clubs, and if you and sling stones, and if you got hit in the head with a sling stone or a war club, it would shatter your skull and push it into your brain. There'd be a depression there. So what you did is you cut around, and it would cause the brain to swell. What you did is you cut around the wound and removed all the brain fragments or the skull fragments, which would leave a hole. Sometimes they would even cut a little bit around it, make sure it wasn't jagged. Then they'd let it, I guess they let it heal.
And then the rest of the time you're just like, mind his little fontanelle.
Yeah, so
like in racing.
Some of it wasn't crazy. The European shit seemed crazy to me. They're just gonna cut a hole in somebody's head to allow insanity to come out.
Because why not?
Why not? You know.
Not like it's a real sensitive area or anything.
But in other cultures, they were doing it to get rid of fucking shattered bone fragments.
Yeah, like there is legit medical reasons sometimes for cutting away part of the skull. Like I said, if you have brain swelling or something like that. But she was doing it because, like I said, she was kind of a researcher into psychedelics and like expanding consciousness and stuff. And she wanted to see if you could expand consciousness without drugs by essentially drilling into your own brain. Because why not? Why not? So this movie, I've never seen it. I saw some stills from it.
I saw stuff.
They do show it every now and then, like at museums or like, you know, art showings and stuff. But it's not like publicly available as far as I know. There are stills of it out there that I've seen. And it's funny because the stills from it, she looks very chill. She's just kind of like, she's wearing like this white dress. And I'm not sure how long the movie is, but they said she did it in real time and it took a while. You know what I mean? So she basically is just kind of like, for a while she has like a bandage on her head and...
Yeah, I remember it as a kid. They showed clips from it.
Yeah.
From
it's
certain
crazy.
on television. Bitch was crazy. Bitch was crazy.
Well,
and
I
it
guess
was
so,
it was a hole about as big around as a pencil. And I think she put tape over it when she was done. And I think that's where they got it in the movie Scanners. Remember when he had the tape over it and he had the other eye painted over it? That's where they got that idea from that chick, from that movie.
They might have, yeah. Because like I said, this was 1970. And if you knew anything about avant-garde cinema at the time, I kind of feel like you would have heard of this because it was pretty notorious. Yeah. I had never heard it until I was doing research for the show, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How did I not hear of this until now? But, woman drilling into her own head. But, you have to... You have to give her credit. She fucking committed to her idea.
Bitch was crazy.
You know? And she's apparently still really into the same kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think she might be still alive. But the fact that you would go that far to make... Hey, I mean, it's her body. Right?
Drilling a hole in your head.
If you want to drill into your own head.
Does not fucking make you more psychic.
I know that.
No.
I know that. But she was curious, I guess. Yeah. And like I said, I wouldn't do it. But hey, no one made her do it.
Yeah.
So, more power to her,
Transcendental meditation. Use that.
Yeah, apparently that's... Or just trip balls. You know what I mean?
Right, that'll help too. You can do both. LSD and transcendental meditation.
But yeah, apparently,
hey, stop, come here.
I mean, the few times that they've showed this, like at film festivals and stuff, like people have fainted and whatnot. Because it's kind of different if you see somebody do it in a movie, because you can watch the Abel Ferrara's Driller Killer all day long where he drills into people's heads, like bums' heads and stuff. And it's not, you're going to faint. I'm not going to faint because of that.
Papa says, head like a hole.
Yes, because it's not real. But... You're watching just a very dispassionate video of somebody doing it for real, and you know that she really did it. I can see how that would probably bother some people. Yeah. But yeah, so even after this movie, she apparently became a very respected figure in psychedelic research. And she was the founder of something called the Beckley Foundation. And that their whole purpose is like scientific study of psychedelics and consciousness, like expanding consciousness and stuff. Which, like I said, that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, I didn't realize there was a whole ass documentary out there about a woman drilling into her own head.
She's trying to ask for forgiveness. You keep tearing up books. Don't
tear
up the books.
And it's like, Mommy's trying to get through this. I have so much stuff left, and you guys are just like distracting.
Don't tear up books.
You guys are just distracting me this whole time.
As long as you're good, you'll be okay. I won't be mad. I'm not gonna be mad if you be good.
Just be good.
Be good. Don't tear up books. No, you stay here. Because I know what you're going to do. Go in there and tear up that fucking book. Don't do it.
High Desert says, in my social work class on aging...
Where are you going? Where are you going? No. Okay, go ahead. And she's going to right over there and tear up that book.
High Desert says, in my social work class on aging, I had to watch a video of old people having sex. Mm-hmm. I just stared at the ceiling the whole time. What the fuck?
How old were they?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, High Desert said it was some documentary from Europe to demonstrate that old farts have healthy sex lives. Then he said they weren't actually having sex, just a lot of rubbing wrinkly bits. I think they were too old for the actual act.
Yeah. They may not be good examples.
Yeah, maybe not.
They got some old porn star chicks that look fantastic. They're fucking damn almost 80.
Yeah, I mean, I think like...
They look like wicked witches.
Your average 70 or 80-year-old, I don't think it'd be much fun watching them have sex, but yeah. I mean, if you keep your shit together.
They're out there.
Yeah.
They're in the porn industry.
So here's another piece of lost media, which is kind of, again, around a famous person. So you guys remember good old Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter.
Yeah.
Who, after a long career of... wrestling crocodiles and playing with, like, dangerous animals, ended up getting killed by a fairly innocuous animal, little stingray.
Yeah.
What I did not realize, I knew all that, but I did not realize that his death was filmed. Because at the time that he died, they were filming a show called Ocean's Deadliest, with at the Great Barrier Reef. And this was back in September of 2006. So they were snorkeling at this reef. And then what ended up happening, according to the guy that was holding the camera, because Steve Irwin always said when they were filming the shows, he said, always keep filming. Like, even if shit looks like it's going sideways, even if shit is dangerous or something, just always keep filming, get it on camera. So that's what the dude was doing. But the sad thing about it was, like, the cameraman didn't realize what had happened. He's like, this is what happened. Like, they were snorkeling, and they saw the stingray. And it wasn't big or anything like that.
No, it's only like 1.5 feet in diameter.
But it swam over Steve Irwin. And the cameraman panned across following the stingray. And then when he panned back, he saw Steve Irwin was standing there in the water, and there was just blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Stuck him right in the heart.
At first, he didn't realize what happened. So it's like they pull him up on the boat.
Yeah.
And they realize that the sting, or the barb, has gone like literally like right through his heart. Yeah. Now the weird thing about it is that stingrays in general are not aggressive. I saw a video about this incident, and they said in the past, since they started keeping records of how many people get killed by stingrays, 20 people have been killed by stingrays in the last, like, since the 30s.
Yeah.
Since the 30s.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not aggressive, like I said. And the fact that they're like, and normally they said it was real weird because the stingray just swam over him and didn't seem aggressive. All they could figure out was that maybe the stingray thought he was a tiger shark, because tiger sharks eat them. So it's like maybe it was like a self-defense move. Like, they're like, that's all they could figure out, because normally a stingray would not
underneath him.
do that. Yeah. That's what it. Yeah, he swam over it.
He swam over it. It was underneath him, and it fucking slapped.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So it's like, so they thought that they said that's all we can think of is that it thought that he was a tiger
Thought he
shark.
was being attacked.
And that it was going to eat him. So
They don't have real good eyes. They just...
Yeah, it's like they said he probably just saw a shadow.
Shadow go over him.
And just, like, freaked out. And so his death, like, the actual stingray, like, the barb, like, going into his heart, he didn't get that on camera, but he did get panned back, and he was standing there with blood in the water. And when they pulled him up, I think they got that on video, too. Because, like I said, he just kept the camera on. And the fucked up thing was they pulled him in the boat, and they said they got his last words on tape, and he just said, "I'm dying." Yeah. Like, he knew. And so they had this video. It stabbed. Well, here's the thing: the stingray stabbed him a bunch of times, not just one time, like a bunch of times. And at first, when he was standing there, he thought for a second that he was going to be okay, because he thought it just punctured his lung, which sucks, but you can survive that. But no, it went right into his heart. So yeah, so they got like all of the however many copies of this tape there were destroyed, but there were one. Now they asked his widow Terry about it, and she thinks it's probably like in police custody, because there was an investigation, and it was over in 2007. And so they think that it might be there somewhere. And I think I heard recently that if that last one was in police custody, then they've destroyed that as well, because it's been however many years or whatever. And the weird thing about it, though, is that a bunch of people think that they have seen the tape of him dying. But it's like, if you saw it online or somewhere, that wasn't it. That was like, that was faked. That wasn't the real one. Because like the real one has never gotten out. And honestly, like, and his widow basically said, I don't fucking want to see that. Well, she didn't say that, but I mean, she doesn't want to see it. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to watch that. But yeah, so nobody knows if the supposed last tape of his death is still out there somewhere, or if that has been destroyed too. So I did not realize that there was actually footage of that, which kind of freaks me out a little bit. But there might not be anymore. But a lot of people said they saw it online, but they didn't. It was somebody made a fake one, which is pretty tacky. You know what I mean? But there was one circulating, so a lot of people thought they saw it.
Demand. They want to know what happens. So
yeah, I know. But like I said, I don't blame like if you were married to somebody and there was video of them dying, I don't think I would want to watch that. No. Jesus Christ, that'd be horrible.
Although No, I think some people might want to watch it because, let's say, if you were to die and I wasn't there, I'd want to know what exactly happened and how it went down.
So you wouldn't imagine that
So
it was
I wouldn't
worse?
imagine something worse.
Yeah, I could see that too. I guess it would depend
So okay,
on
just,
how it happened.
You'd be like, okay, it's just that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, shit, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I could see that too.
So
I guess it would depend on the
not
situation.
knowing you're gonna fucking
would make it even
imagination will
worse.
go- Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like either way, you're kind of fucked. If you watch it, then that you can't unsee it. You're just gonna see that forever. But if you don't watch it, then you're gonna come up with all kind of horrible scenarios.
If any shit went down, like fucking you got killed and that shit was on video, oh no, I'd definitely watch it. I want to know exactly what you went through.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would probably feel better not because I wouldn't imagine shit.
Worse. Yeah.
And then I'd go, okay, so that's what happened and that's what really happened. That's what the reality is, and I just got to deal with that. And that's what she went through, and there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it would be
Yeah,
over.
and then you try to heal up after that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we all go eventually.
Yeah. And everybody wants to go peacefully in their sleep.
Seeing my dad die was a fucking relief. Because I was there.
You were there when it happened.
I was there, and I knew what he went through, and fucking it wasn't bad. It could have been a lot worse, and he was around people who cared about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of the best you can hope for, really.
Yeah, you're right.
Like in his condition.
He couldn't breathe. I can't breathe. You know, he was in misery, and him dying released him from that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm
it's the way of the force.
I'm glad you were there.
Yeah.
Like at least, because I remember like you called me or videoed me like shortly after or shortly before.
No, actually, when he died, it was a big weight off me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
because well, you had been worried about it.
Yeah, now
for a long time. Actually, for years since he got that heart bypass.
Because I was like, okay, that's how it went.
Yeah.
It was like that, and it was nowhere near as bad. He died well.
Yeah.
And it was a good fight. It was that kind of deal.
I think in this situation, like his widow, Terry, Steve Irwin's widow, she knows what happened.
Right.
Like, because the guy told her. So it's like, so I feel like if she already knows what happens, then maybe she just doesn't want to see that. She doesn't want the images. Because she already knows. It's not like it's a mystery.
Might actually help him, though.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said,
then
everyone's
you can see,
different.
okay, well, I recognize him, and yeah, it was like I was there. I was like I was there with him.
I'm not sure how I would feel. I mean, I guess there's no way of knowing unless you're in that situation firsthand.
Death is kind of mundane.
Well, yeah, I know it is.
And fucking,
but
and to see it actually happen on a person you care about, you go, okay, it's just that.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. You're not. It's not. It's demystified. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We're all gonna go. We're all gonna die.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Only a matter of time. I believe in an afterlife because I've seen some fucking weird shit. We will fucking all meet later on in a fucking virtual reality that's different than this, outside of space and time. And we won't give a shit because this is just a movie we're watching. We got our own things to do, so it's not that important. You know.
So speaking of other people who got killed by animals and it was caught on tape, we're not talking about Grizzly Man. We are talking about Dawn Brancheau. She worked at SeaWorld right here in Orlando. And in February of 2010, she was killed by an orca named Tilikum. And the reason this was on video is because it was one of their orca shows, you know, like the old Shamu shows and stuff like that, which they actually do not do anymore because of this incident. Because what happened, she was a trainer. She had worked there for over 15 years, working with the orcas. And for whatever reason, on this particular day, Tilikum pulled her into the tank. Like, she was standing outside. I
remember this.
Yeah, she was doing the thing where at the end she's like petting his head. He had his head like out of the tank, and she was just like, "Hey, whatever."
I remember this. I've seen this.
And for whatever reason, it either grabbed her by the hair or by the arm or the shoulder.
Yeah.
And pulled her into the water.
Yeah.
And
it drowned her.
She drowned, and she was also tore up.
Yeah.
Severed her spinal cord. And tore her scalp completely off, and she had multiple broken bones. I believe one of her arms was torn off as well. So it basically dragged her to the bottom of the tank. And it took them a long time to get her out.
Yeah.
And this was at a show. So everybody in the park watched it. And she recorded all of her shows too. So there is footage of this.
I saw parts of it. They showed it, some parts of it on television.
Well, there's parts of it. They show the part up to like right before her getting pulled in the water. Like they generally do not show anything after that.
I think from what I remember seeing it, I think it was partially an accident, and also the whale I think was frustrated over something else. I don't think it actually wanted to kill her. I think it was frustrated over something else because I don't know why it focused in on her. There didn't seem to be any motive to it.
And she had been working with that whale for a long time.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know. Like I said, it's a huge, huge animal, and it's like you never really know if they're going to flip out one day or get... And that can very easily kill you because it's many times larger than you are. I don't think that... You got to understand, from the whale's point of view, it didn't use much force. No.
But, I think it was kind of an accident.
Well, SideQuest here brings up, and it's like, aren't there portions of that video in the documentary Blackfish? Yes, there are. Yeah. And it said they went into how it wasn't the first time the whale had killed someone. I believe it had killed 2 people prior.
Oh, had it? Okay, yeah.
That's what I heard, anyway. So I'm not really sure. Like I said, yeah, there is a documentary called Blackfish, which did actually show part of this.
Maybe
and it was
started to think that people were like seals.
Maybe.
I mean, they kill seals.
And it was kind of getting into, which I kind of agree with. It's like, it's kind of fucked up, like making these orcas like perform like in front of you. So they don't actually do that anymore. Because it's, like I said, it's kind of messed up. And shit like this happens, obviously. That came out in 2013. It's like we really shouldn't be keeping orcas in captivity because a risk to us and a risk to them.
They still keep them in captivity, though?
I'm not entirely sure, but they don't make them perform anymore.
Yeah, they'll let them bitches go anyway.
They probably should. Yeah. Free Willy. But, you know what I mean? Actually, SeaWorld Orlando did get fined by OSHA. It was only $75,000, though. I mean, which to me is a lot of money, but to them is probably not a lot of money. So yeah, SeaWorld was kind of pissed off about it and didn't want to pay, but like I said, they didn't do any more shows like with the orcas and the trainers anymore because of this. But yeah, I remember this happening because, and like I said, SeaWorld is really less than an hour away from us, and I've been there many times. So, and I saw the Shamu shows when I was a kid, and I remember being really freaked out by how fucking big those things are. So it's kind of terrifying. So I remember when I heard about this, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Because, man, some of my worst nightmares when I was little were about getting dragged down into the, like, deep black ocean by some, like, massive fucking creature, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much what happened to her. And it happened in front of a live audience and on camera. So... so that kind of fucked me up for a while, and I had forgotten about it until I was like researching for the show, and I'm like, oh man, I remember that. That was awful. But yeah. So remember how I said I was going to bring up more stuff about wrestling, and if you know anything about WWF or WWE or whatever, you probably know what I'm going to talk about, and that is the death of wrestler Owen Hart, which was also captured on camera. Actually happened on a TV event, although I think that they had gone to a promotional clip when the actual thing happened, and because it was on pay-per-view, and then when the pay-per-view audience came back, it's like suddenly there were paramedics everywhere. So this happened in May of 1999. What Owen Hart was supposed to be doing was he was supposed to make an entrance into the ring as his character, the Blue Blazer. He had done this many times before, and he has like a harness and a cable, and he comes down from the ceiling. Like I said, he had done this many times, because he's supposed to be like a superhero. Now, what happened was, evidently, this happened in Kansas City, Missouri, and I don't know if the mechanism that was used for the release, because what was supposed to happen was, the cable was obviously supposed to lower him down close to the ring, and then he's supposed to release it himself and then drop into the ring, from just a few feet above the ground. But what ended up happening was that somehow either the mechanism was different or he didn't, or something. He ended up accidentally triggering the release mechanism while he was still 80 feet off the ground.
Damn. 80 feet is a long way.
So he fell, from the ceiling. And he landed on his chest, and it was a live audience. And like I said, it was on pay-per-view. The fall was actually, like I said, they'd cut away to a promo at that time, but it was still taped and stuff. So he fell, and like I said, the pay-per-view audience came back, and they just saw all these paramedics working on him in the middle of the ring or whatever. So they took him to the hospital, obviously, as you would, but he was pronounced dead, internal bleeding. He was 34 years old. And apparently after that happened, the event continued after he fucking fell and died. So a lot of people were kind of upset about that, including his widow, whose name is Martha. She sued the WWF, and she settled out of court for $18 million.
Damn.
And she actually used that to start the Owen Hart Foundation for families in need. So I thought this was weird. So because of that, the WWE did not include him in their Hall of Fame.
Huh.
I guess I don't know if it was because the family didn't want him in there or because they were uncomfortable with the circumstances of how he died,
It's
or
you're trying to re-race
little
it.
of column A, little of column B. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe
pretend
y'all
like it didn't happen.
Yeah, maybe y'all that know a little bit more about the whole wrestling world can let me know, but yeah, that was kind of fucked up. It was just a horrible accident. Like I said, I think it was a kind of cable and harness that he hadn't used before, and I think maybe he pushed the wrong button or something like that. He just released it too early. That's what I heard. So yeah, he fell. I think it was exactly 78 feet is I think what it was. So yeah, his insides were all busted up. All right, so this last case I want to talk about is actually quite famous. I had heard about this one, and there is audio of this, and I have heard it. But as far as I know, if there's video, I imagine there's video of it, but I've never seen it. But I've heard the audio, though. So this is the case of Christine Chubbuck. And she was a news reporter, and she worked for a couple different news stations in Sarasota, right here in Florida. She was, very famously, the first person to die by suicide on live TV.
I don't remember this one.
This is a very famous case. It happened in 1974. So this is a fucked up story. Let's do a little background. So, Christine Chubbuck was known to suffer from depression. She wasn't she was pretty open about it, her family knew and stuff.
How old was she, more or less?
I think she was in her 30s.
30s?
I can't really remember. She was, I think she was 30.
Okay.
30 or 31. So yeah, she was kind of depressed. She had actually attempted suicide before. In 1970, she had tried to OD on drugs and kind of talked about suicide a lot, in a sort of joking sort of manner. She had been seeing a psychiatrist, but it didn't really seem to be working. So there was that. One of the things that was bothering her, apparently, was that she was 30 and she was still a virgin. She'd never really had a relationship, and also a year before she killed herself, she'd had one of her ovaries removed. And I think at that point they told her, look, if you're going to have a kid, you better have one in the next couple of years or you're going to be infertile, you won't ever be able to. And I think that was kind of fucking with her a little bit. She also had, she was also in love with one of her coworkers at the news station. And he did not reciprocate. He was in a relationship with another woman.
How'd she look? She looked right?
Yeah, she was just a regular looking, she was just a dark-haired, regular looking woman.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with her.
Okay.
So yeah,
Was she cute?
Huh?
Was she cute though? I mean, you got good taste in women. Was she cute or was she just?
I thought she was.
wasn't a
I
bugged
thought
up
she was
or-
kind of.
So she wasn't played.
No, I mean,
Okay.
I thought she was like decent looking.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
It's weird. Virgin and couldn't get a boyfriend
Yeah.
or couldn't get the guy that she wanted.
Yeah, I think it might have been more that.
Yeah.
I guess. And maybe, like I said, maybe she was just real shy or introverted or awkward or something. It's like there's a lot of things that could happen like that.
What? Based on my knowledge, man, the longer you're a virgin, the harder it is to fucking lose that shit.
Well, yeah,
it
because
starts
then
fucking
you're
with
kind
your
of
mind.
building
Then
up
you're
in your
fucking
mind
with
that
your
it's like,
mind,
oh my
yeah.
God, I'm this age,
Yeah.
now I'm this age, now I'm this
Oh,
age.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And it's just like there's something wrong with me and blah,
Go
blah,
get
blah.
a hooker.
I mean, if you got to that, I mean, at least just get
Go
it
get
over
a-
with. Like
yeah.
like you said, like demystify it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think people, particularly guys, I guess, like younger guys, I think they build it up in their minds like it's some big fucking deal or something like that. And it's really...
Well, for some guys it is because it's hard to get.
Yeah.
It's not going to be able to get it. They got pay for play.
Yeah.
Male or female. And man,
Yeah.
that'll demystify. You tell the service provider why.
Yeah.
And they'll, oh, okay.
They will
yeah.
be very understanding.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Generally. I mean, unless you get a bad
That's
one.
right.
But I mean, usually that's kind of what their thing is. So, a week before she did what she did, she reportedly told another guy that worked there, the news editor, that she had bought a gun and she was going to kill herself on live TV. He thought that she was just making a sick joke and was like, nope, and didn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? He just thought she was kidding, I guess. She also, they said, like a few days before she did it, she had like a real big party. And she seemed like she was in a really good mood. But see, that's what happened. Like a lot of people that are depressed and suicidal like that, if they suddenly seem like they're in a real good mood, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Because that usually means they've decided they're going to go through with it, which is the case here.
The pressure's off.
Yeah, like you said, the pressure is off. So, yeah, she had a party. And, I saw another documentary that said, in retrospect, everybody realized that was like a goodbye party. She was like saying goodbye to everybody. So, here's the thing. So, she comes into work on the morning of July 15th, 1974. And she tells the other, the other coworkers, the cameramen and all that, she's like, I'm going to read a newscast to open this show. It was called Suncoast Digest, which was kind of like, it wasn't really a news show. It was kind of like a human interest, I think. And they're like, that's okay. That's not usually, they don't ever do that. That wasn't the format of the show. And they had guests on and stuff. And the guest was just like, okay, I guess I'm just chopped liver. I'm going to sit over here. So Christine sits at the anchor's desk. And then she talks for 8 minutes about 3 big national news stories. And then she talked about a local crime story. There was like a shooting that had happened like at a restaurant in Sarasota, like the previous day. And so she talked about that. And then she was going to play film from the shooting, but it didn't work. So then she said, like after it didn't work, she was just like, okay, whatever. Then she says, and this is a quote, it's on the audio, in keeping with the WXLT practice of presenting the most immediate and complete reports of local blood and guts news, TV40 presents what is believed to be a television first, in living color, exclusive coverage of an attempted suicide. She said that. She pulls out a .38 Smith & Wesson and puts it behind her ear and shoots herself in the fucking head.
Damn. So it's not attempted. It was fucking a real suicide.
Yeah. Obviously, they immediately faded to black. Then they put like a promo on, and then they put a movie on.
Yeah.
And they said, obviously, the fucking switchboards lit up.
Oh, man, so.
Some people thought that it was fake.
So there was no delay. It was live feed.
It was live.
Damn.
Yeah, now I think when they do live, they have
minutes
a couple
live
of seconds delay so they can,
Yeah.
if somebody swears or something, they can like
Yeah.
bleep it out or whatever. But they were not doing that. It was like I said, it was a local
You're right.
TV station, like in the 70s.
What's your description of what it looked like? Did any pieces of her go flying?
I don't know. Basically, they said that she just fell forward really violently.
Yeah.
and that was about it. Like, they just kind of cut to black.
In case y'all are not familiar with firearms that well, fucking 38 Special, been around for a long time. It started off as a black powder cartridge, and then it got converted to smokeless, and when that happened, to fucking let a lot of space in the case. So it was mostly an empty cartridge. Later on, they filled that up and made it a fucking 1/8 of an inch longer and called it 357 Magnum. Okay, which is a lot hotter. But 38 Special is very fucking kind of mild. It's not very loud. It's effective, and at point blank in your head, yeah, that it definitely kills you, 100%.
Here's the weird thing, though.
Not real destructive, though. It's not like you're gonna blow your head apart. It's very mild, but effective. And I would imagine that what the audience saw was just like what Jenny described. Pop, and she was forward.
Yeah.
There probably wasn't any fucking head exploding or pink mist or anything, you know. The velocity isn't high enough. But poor girl. Oh, man. I'm calling her a girl. She's in her 30s.
The thing about it that's weird, though, is that afterward, she had the script there that had all the news stories that she was reading, and even had the shit that she was going to say, like about the attempted suicide. But after that, there was a statement that she had written that they presumed she meant for the person to read after she had shot herself.
The authorities, yeah.
But the thing about that said, the script said that her condition was critical. So I'm not sure if she entirely meant to kill herself or not. Although, I don't know, because she did say attempted suicide, didn't she? But the thing about it, they took her...
Maybe she thought she would survive.
Maybe she thought she would survive. Spoiler alert, she did not.
Right.
Although, it took... they took her to the hospital, and she died about 14 hours later.
Yeah.
So, obviously, now there is... The video of this does exist. It's in the possession of the station owner, whose name is Robert Nelson. After he died, it passed to his widow, whose name is Molly. And apparently, I don't know if either of them have watched it. He might have seen it already, like he might have seen it live happen. But they put it, I think it's in a safety deposit box like at a law firm or something like that. And they have no plans to release it. However, the audio has leaked. I've heard not the entire bit, but I heard the part of her saying that and the gunshot. Yeah. I heard that part. So that's pretty easy to find. But the video of it, I don't think has ever been shown anywhere.
What's her name again?
Christine Chubbuck.
Chubbuck. Oh.
Chubbuck.
Yeah,
so yes, so after that happened, there was kind of a, I guess you would call it an urban legend.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good looking woman.
Yeah. I'll show you go. Fuck, man.
It was raining outside. I just heard it raining outside the window. Yeah, that's her.
Poor woman.
Yeah, it's like, what a crazy fucking thing to do. I mean, that's horrible.
You're nothing wrong with her. She just lost hope.
Yeah.
Don't ever lose hope, people. I've fucking been through some shit, y'all, I wouldn't even fucking talk about. I think a lot of people would have lost hope. Do not lose fucking hope.
It's kind of the only thing you got, really.
Yeah. You can fucking survive a lot of shit. You can come through all kinds of stuff.
Well, and you never know. Like, you know, you never know.
You're a lot stronger than you think you are.
And you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, everything could change tomorrow.
Right.
You don't know. Like, for the better.
Yeah, the way you are imagining the future is not actually how it is. It's never...
No, there's no way of predicting it. Like I said, it's not worried. Like, I kind of think about that a lot because I have, you know, issues with, like, anxiety and stuff. But I always try to tell myself, it's like, why fucking worry about it? It's like you're just... shit's probably not going to go down the way you think it's going to go down, and it's like you're just wasting time like worrying about stuff that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
You know, if it happens, worry about it then.
Yeah, and that was like, I just showed y'all the picture of her. I mean, that's physically, that's a perfectly good woman. There's nothing wrong with her. She just made a stupid mistake.
Yeah, and like I said, she had tried it before, like 4 years before this.
Yeah.
So she obviously had like some mental health issues.
And trying to do it in public like that for everybody to see, that lets you know she's stunting.
Yeah, I think she was trying to make a statement of some kind.
Yeah.
Which
she needed to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
She needed some serious dick.
Well,
you put some serious dick on her and man love her, it should be fine.
Or the thing about it, you know, you get some good dick and then the dude screws her over, and then it's even worse. It fucks you up even worse. So that's not always the answer.
She needed a friend.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Just like the fish.
But the friend might have a dick.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
Yeah, me and Jim friends got a dick and a pussy. Fucking this shit worked out.
It just worked out. But yeah, so because of the circumstances, there have been like a lot of, I guess it's an urban legend going around that she was the inspiration for the very famous 1976 film Network by Patty Chayefsky. Because there's a whole thing in that where one of the anchors says that he's going to kill himself live on the air. Mm-hmm. But the thing about it was that when they looked through Patty Chayefsky's papers, like when he wrote the screenplay, he didn't really mention her until like much later drafts of it. Mm-hmm. So I think that he just had that idea independently. But there was apparently a line in the movie that he put in later, like after he heard about that. And the line was something like, I'm going to kill myself right on the air just like that girl in Florida. But they didn't put that in the movie.
Somebody named UK Jetty came to us and said, hey, wow, just came across this chat. What's the general chat about? Who are we talking about, etc. They don't know. Yeah.
We've been doing a show about lost media.
About lost media.
And like I said, this is the case of Christine Chubbuck, who very famously shot herself in the head live on a newscast.
And my wife's name is Jenny also.
That's
and
right.
she lived in the UK.
For a little while.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s.
Yeah, she was married to a guy from Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah, before she was married to me.
For 14 years.
That's right.
It's funny.
And today you just happen to be on a lost media show. Usually it's shit like fucking true crime and
we usually do serial killers.
Serial killers, missing persons, fucking weird paranormal stuff that we look into and usually debunk because a lot of it's weak. What they're talking about is not really there. But no, welcome to the show.
Yeah, nice.
We've been going on for fucking almost more than a decade.
Yeah, we started in 2016. Mm-hmm. 2016.
Yeah, it's an old show, and it happened before we realized it.
Yeah, we were just farting around when we started.
God damn, we've been on this shit for a long time.
We just kept on doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's like, you know,
it's a fun show.
We just started out with one show, and now we have like 3 shows a week.
Yeah, we got a bunch of online friends that send us money.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
Someone we talk to, you know, when the show isn't on, and fucking most of the shows are requests from our listeners, and they come up with good shit. We got good regulars.
Yeah, I do a poll every week on what you want next week's show to be about.
And we got a Patreon if you want to join the Patreon.
Patreon.
If not, you can just send a super chat.
Or a YouTube membership. We have that.
That's
too.
right, yeah.
High Desert says apparently they made a movie about her in 2016. Rebecca Hall was in it. Oh, I love Rebecca Hall. Man, okay. She'd be good at that. Yeah. She's British, but isn't she? No, maybe not. I thought she was British. Rebecca Hall. But yeah, I remember hearing about this story, but I didn't remember like all the details because it's a pretty famous lost media. Just because the video of it exists, but no one's seen it. But I have heard the audio though. That's bad enough. I don't really need to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just saw it in some documentary.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, it's probably not as bad as I'm imagining.
For 38 special, it's not going to be that destructive.
And they went to black like pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
So
she just put the fucking thing to her head. You probably saw a little flash and her to pop and her fall forward. That's probably all.
Still, knowing that really happened though, that's like really fucked up. Like I said, I think it would bother
Well, there
me.
was a dude that blew himself away on the news too. Live. That was on Faces of Death, remember? And I think it was real.
Yeah, a lot of that shit was fake though.
A lot of it was fake, but I think that one case is real. It was.
Papa says the pic that you showed was Rebecca Hall. It was the actress that played
was the
her.
actress?
That played her.
Okay, let me go back and look.
I couldn't see
Because
it.
that's what came up.
I couldn't see it, but I would have told you.
That's what came up.
But I couldn't see it because you.
What's her name
put
again?
it right
Her name
there.
is
Christine Chubbuck.
Christine Chubbuck.
Okay, so I haven't seen the movie that's based on her.
That's what comes up.
Well, like I said, because I guess there
Pictures
was
of her. Okay. Yeah. All right. There's another. It's
Wait,
close.
Well, can I see it first so I can tell you? Yeah, that's her.
Yeah. It's real close.
Okay, yeah, that's her.
It's real close.
Yeah, when you said
That's
Rebecca
the real
Hall,
one.
I was like, oh yeah, she does kind of look like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Still about the same.
yeah, Rebecca Hall's been in
Yeah.
tons of stuff. I just couldn't see the picture, so I.
Yeah. Here's a black and white over.
Oh, you made it all blurry.
Still, there's nothing wrong with that woman.
No, of course not.
She's dateable.
But like I said, depression is
Depression. Yeah.
is a bitch.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's sad. It's just a sad fucking story. But like I said, also very famous. Probably, I kind of feel like every time I searched lost media, this story was on like every single one of them. You know
People
what I mean?
want that fucking death video, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
They want to see it.
that's kind of the. It's like you kind of don't want to see it, but you kind of do at the same time.
It's probably not a big deal.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe more alluring
Yeah.
that you can't see it.
That you can't see it. If you saw it, you'd be like, oh, it's just
You'd
that.
be like, oh, it's just that, and it would be like a big bummer.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like a lot of the shit with lost media.
Yeah.
I think most of the fun that people get out of it is the mystery. I think
you can't get to
if
it.
the mystery is solved, then
Yeah.
it's not fun anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I liked that they finally found out who did the most mysterious song on the internet, but now it's like not mysterious anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Like the story behind it is cool, but it's like the mystery's gone because now you know who it is. So it's almost like the mystery is better if you just leave the mystery, I guess. But yeah, all right. So it's getting kind of late.
We can shut it down.
We're gonna wrap it up for this evening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I had a good time with this one. I'm glad I got through all my stories. I wasn't sure how I was going to. So we were on almost 4 hours. But yeah,
4 hours?
Almost.
That's how long the show was?
Almost.
Yeah, it's a long show.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had a lot of material.
Okay.
It's a lot, and there was a lot of shit that I wanted to put on, but I didn't,
Okay.
because it was just too much.
All
We
right.
might have to do a part 2 at some point, because it was like hard for me to narrow shit down because there was so many stories I wanted to cover. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Have a good rest of your evening. Remember, if you're new here, we also do a live stream on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is just our sidetrack show. There's actually no topic. We just kind of drink and talk about whatever. You guys can ask us questions. We just tell stories. We usually end up talking about food or porn or something. those are the most common topics. So if that sounds like fun, then be here on Friday night. Hopefully you guys can all join us. Have a good rest of your evening, you guys. Have a good day tomorrow. And we'll see you guys again on Friday night.